game. My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets.
Well, hello, everybody. What is cooking? It is Thursday night. I'm in a fantastic mood. This is GreenBean. Welcome to GreenBean's Thursday Thick of It. And I see something that just threw my line of thinking. I was going to say something, but I got to say this instead. Jets by Jimmy is in the chat. What the hell is he doing? Look at this. Coming in saying, what's up? Like we hung out yesterday. No, we need an explanation, bro. I don't know what you think this is. We'll talk to Jimmy later. This is an interesting day, guys, and I can't wait to bring Frankie on because he's got a lot of explaining to do. Frankie made a video. I think it was either today or yesterday, but I watched it today. Frankie made a video saying the Jets need to hire an interior designer coach. I don't understand. It's time he explained himself. Let's bring on our co-host, Frankie from Flatbush. What is this madness?
Well, it's an instructional designer, we're not decorating a house, GreenBean. We're not doing interior decorations.
That's what
an instructional designer, and we could talk about that, but I do think we should talk about the big news of the week. I don't know if you knew this, GreenBean, but there's a lot of big news this week.
There is
something the biggest out of all of the newses that we've had.
I'm in.
We learned this week that very soon Sauce Gardner will have available a line of barbecue sauce that we people can buy cases and cases of. And I think this is very exciting because wouldn't you want to have barbecue sauce by Sauce Gardner?
Well, and you know that, right. I think that is among the biggest news of the week. But let me ask you this, Frankie. Do you recall who broke that story? Who was it that broke that story for us?
I think it was the kid reporter.
It was the kid?
Yeah, Jimmy. What a great little reporter. He had great questions.
Yes.
We need more people like little Jimmy and less people like Dick Chimney. You know?
We do. Well, listen, speaking of Dick Chimney, and we'll get to this later, he got put in his place today by a Jets player, and we'll get to that. We have so much to get to, Frankie, so much to get to, and I'm excited. But the first thing I want to get to is the chat. I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. Harry is here. What's up? He's just saying hello to Jim Pock. He stopped by. He's, hey, Jim Pock, how you doing, buddy? Hey, Harry, how are you doing? So first was Ant Jets. He's been pulling that off more and more often, Frankie. 4:00. It's important to Ant Jets. He's like, you know what? I'm going to beat everybody because they start doing that like 6:30. Oh yeah, I'll do 6:15. Then it's going to be noon. They're going to be texting.
Yeah, people can't wait for GreenBean. They cannot wait for GreenBean to show up.
Yeah, maybe it is. Hawk, this is going to be indeed, it is going to be a good one. As you guys know, we have Jake Asman coming on today from ESPN 97.5 Houston Radio. He will be coming on with us this evening, probably around 8:30 or so, I think. So we'll have a good time with him. Stephen Ingle is here. He's saying Hawko. He's talking to Hawk. This is the thing, Frankie. If you look at the chat, they are legitimately buddies. They can't wait to see each other. And, in some cases, they were just with each other at another streams. A lot of these guys, they make their rounds, Frankie. They really do. They're out there.
Oh, yeah.
Ryder and Talon's PA or Pa. I think it's Pa. I think he's got children named Ryder and Talon. That's what I think. What do you think, Frankie?
I could see that, especially because the A is not capitalized.
Correct. If it was PA, we'd be talking about sound systems and everything else. So that's what we've come up with. You can let us know. Braden from New Zealand is here. Start early, Green. Oh, so that must have been before I start. I'm sorry, Braden. I did not pull that off for you. I did not make that happen. Jin Pak, as we heard before, is here. Hank G is here. What's up, Hank? Big show indeed. Anthony G is here. Frank and Beans and Jake. Let's hit like and get it started. Indeed. Guys, please don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. It means the world. It changes everything. And that's the way we get this started, like Anthony G said. Hank's talking about Mims. We're going to get into some Mims today, too. Mims is, he had an interesting week. Really. Yeah, I just wish, Frankie. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. I'll leave the rest of the conversation for later. I just wish. You know what I mean? Like it's so much, but I just wish.
It's almost.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying. I know you. Edward Ziff got to see the Klecko interview. Yeah, dude. And there's Klecko news too. Klecko was at the facility today, and we'll get into him. Bradigan is back. Bradigan is next up on Green Bean's Wayward Jets Fund, started by Iowan Jet, who is the first recipient of the fund, making it to their first Jets home game. Chris, we are about halfway to getting Chris from Chicago out to his first Jets home game opening day. We need a few more donations, and we will have his travel and ticket covered. We already have his ticket. We're trying to get the travel. And you guys can help with that by donating. The link is in the description of this video. It is appreciated. That's our boy. It's our boy, Chris. Let's get Chris to the game with us, and we'll have a good time. Joe Grana in the house. Duncan McLean. The salty teacher's here, Frankie. Jets 8:30. They're all here. This is great. Mike Galizia. Yeah, look at you guys. Cahill's back. Oh, and here it is. Now we can get started. Boom. There it is. No, Frank, maybe I was with you. I forget where it went. Somebody was literally, we had a whole deconstruction about Jets Forever and whether or not he was a troll or not. And we had to deconstruct it. Maybe some people, Jets Forever does look like a troll, but he's not.
I think he's a lovable troll.
Indeed. He's one of those multicolored fluorescent hair trolls.
Yeah. You don't take anything he says too seriously. He's half three-quarters joking half the time.
Yeah.
You just have him around. He's a lovable troll.
That's what I like. Jets Forever around. R&R, my perpetual ball buster on Twitter, is here. And if I say anything, Frankie, he's right there to go, no. It doesn't matter what it is. I could be joking. No. Like, I think what I said, guys, you don't have to worry about wondering what Quinn and Williams' numbers are. He's going to get 14 sacks. I went through a week of him telling me why that wasn't going to happen. Michael Lando screaming. I like that one. That's a good one. And the rest. Nick is here. Nick Draw, Jets Forever, as we said. Frank and Flatbush in the chat. New York Jets superfan. Eric Craig is here, and so many more. We are happy to have you guys. As I said, our good friend Jets by Jimmy is back. And that's good to see. Jimmy at one point was around a lot more, I'd say, and he hasn't been for whatever the reason. I know he moved back to East Jabib, where he's from, East Van Gweek, some call it. And he moved back to there. And I actually went when Jimmy lived in Indiana. I happened to be going to Indiana Beach, and I went out and hung out with Jimmy for a little bit. We had some pizza, Frankie. We did. It was not
pizza
the best.
In Indiana.
Yeah, it was supposedly the best pizza in Indiana. It wasn't. Me and Jimmy were like, no, both of us, no, not so good.
Not a good
Frankie,
choice.
Yeah, Indiana. Every state claims they're like, no, Art, you got to come and try this place.
Yeah,
you got to try this place. So we did. And it wasn't the best. So Frankie, we're going to get into the first subject of the day, which is, in my opinion, needs to be just hammered out quickly. And we'll get Jake's opinions on some of these things as he comes in. But I want to talk about this quote from Brady Quinn. As you guys know, Brady Quinn has been talking in a very specific tone about Zach Wilson for a while now. The first one really ruffled a lot of Jets fans' feathers, really a lot of Jets fans' feathers. This one hasn't necessarily caught fire, but maybe it hasn't caught fire yet. It's pretty new. But he's out there saying the same thing. In this one, it even feels like he's yelling. Like it feels like he's upset, Frankie. It feels like he's upset. I'm going to put the quote up here so all can see it. We'll have a little fun with it here. So this is what Brady Quinn says. He says, "Can we acknowledge once again, the media just continually tries to make it something. They want so badly for this to work out, and it's kind of tough, honestly, to listen to," Quinn said on Monday's installment of Fox Sports Radio's Two Pros and Cup of Joe. "I've not seen a quarterback get more love for doing less from the media than Zach Wilson in a long time." So, Frankie, first off, is he right? Is Zach Wilson getting just love poured upon him from the media? And is it necessary or unnecessary? How do you see what he's saying? Before we get into the whys, is he saying the truth?
I was talking to Jeremy about this before the show. I don't think his diagnosis of the media is wrong. There are some Zach backers that, you can think of Chris Sims and Kurt Warner said some nice things, but these are people who are watching tape. It's not like they're just saying it to say it. They're saying, here's what I've seen on tape. Let me break it down for you. Here's this. Here's the progress he's made. So when he says the media, I mean, you have to think there's different, I don't think people who break down film are the same as people who are beat reporters or, just talking heads on television. So I do think you have to make a distinction there. I mean, Zach does have his supporters. Chris Sims is a prime example. Kurt Warner's another one. And there are others. And then there's other people who who hit him pretty hard and kind of feel the way that Brady apparently does. So I don't necessarily agree with this assessment of the media. I mean, if anything, a lot of people criticize Zach Wilson coming out because if you remember, one of the reasons I think is because it was Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields 1-2 for a long time since they came out of high school. There was a lot of hype around Lawrence and Fields. And it was supposed to be Lawrence and Fields. And then when the draft came along, who's this Zach Wilson guy from Utah? What is going on here?
Right.
A lot of people were upset because their expectation was it's Lawrence and Fields. They were the two huge prospects from big schools. They played against each other in the national championship game. So it was like, it's Lawrence and Fields. It's supposed to be Lawrence and Fields. Who the hell is this Zach Wilson guy getting in the middle of all this? So I think if anything, I think there's negative media, generally speaking, towards Zach for that reason, because he upset the expectation of those two being the top two. So I don't know. I mean, but there are people. I mean, if he's talking about a Chris Sims, then he should name him.
Yeah, right.
In the hip hop world, it's called the subliminal. Don't go subliminal, Brady. Tell us
That's
who you're
right.
talking about. Don't subliminal diss somebody. Come
That's
out
right.
and say their name if you have the cojones. Come out and say, I disagree with Chris Sims. I disagree with Kurt Warner.
Right. Keep it 100, as they say,
Yeah.
Frankie.
Right. Keep it 100. Keep it honest. Don't
Right.
subliminal diss somebody. Come out and say
Right.
who you're talking about, because there's other people, like we said, who have been tough on Zach. So I don't know. Just saying
Frankie,
the media is very general.
Yeah. Frankie, number one, Frankie just turned this into, I want to remind everybody, this is where you go to keep up with the newest slang terms. If you want to know that, don't go subliminal, keep it 100, and we'll get through this. I don't even know if that's the right way to get that. If you're hip like me, you'll know this stuff. All right.
Yeah.
So I think that's such a great point. And my honest feeling, when I read this, I thought, and it's funny because it's in the chat as well, you mentioned it, outside of Chris Sims, I honestly don't know. Maybe Rich Eisen clearly stating his hopes. Like, I hope
biased,
this freaking.
but he's a Jet fan.
Exactly. But he explains it and he presents it in a way where he's telling you, this is not news. This is my hope. You know what I mean? I want him. Yeah. But like outside of that, I think Zach Wilson is unfairly bashed. We had to defend him last year, when he was, the number one sacked quarterback, the number one pressured, hurried. He had the least time in the league. He had the most drops, all that stuff. They were bashing him. We were trying to defend him like, dude, can you give him a minute here? Like, so I think Brady Quinn is way off base here. And that's not to say, like you said, if he's talking specifically about Chris Sims, you could make that argument. Maybe Chris Sims is really, it's like, where you getting all this foundation for him being quarterback one in last year's draft and all that kind of, you can make that argument. I mean, the truth is, I was like, what? You know what I mean? Like I was like, wow, quarterback one, huh? But that's his opinion. Chris Sims, as we know, generally has data and everything to support his opinions, whether you agree or not. But I think, generally speaking, Brady Quinn is clearly like when I would have group therapy, right, Frankie? We could actually tell what someone had dealt with in their past, at least to some degree, by who they had issues with and their behavioral traits. We could actually do that. I would sit with licensed clinical therapists and psychiatrists and psychologists, and we would have these meetings, and we would be able to know, okay, we have our window in because look what they're so upset about. Why are they so upset about this? That therefore means that one of these examples is at least an avenue to explore, so we can find something in their past to uproot, blah, 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 therapeutically. I'm going to come to this conclusion as a former therapist, as a former boss of therapists, and many therapists, and a practitioner of thousands of therapeutic groups. I've come to the conclusion that Brady Quinn is in love with Zach Wilson. That's what I think, and he is a man scorned. He doesn't know why Zach doesn't talk to him. Something along those lines, Frankie. Do you think I have a leg to stand on here?
Well, it could be that Zach slept with his mom, but
there's that too, Frankie. I didn't even think of this. Look at you.
It's possible. But also, I mean, it could be some sort of weird projection because if you remember who Brady Quinn is, he was a big deal coming out of Notre Dame. He was supposed to be a big-time quarterback, and he came into the league and he did absolutely nothing. I think somebody made the point that Zach Wilson threw more touchdowns in his rookie season than Brady Quinn threw in his entire career. So, there could be something there because, maybe he's projecting that way. I don't know. But Brady Quinn was one of the biggest busts to come out of college from my memory. And so now he does college, he does mostly college analysis. That's all fine and good. But those are also possibilities. I'm not a professional therapist, though, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and clearly I'm being a tad facetious, but it's drawing to the ridiculous aspect of this, drawing attention to it. But it's really funny to me. Like, this is the stuff like Zach Wilson he's had one season. Like, why the anger, buddy? Like, what is it? So I find it almost humorous if it wasn't that we had to deal with so much crap. Like, can we just have a minute? But here's the thing that really bothered me, Frankie, is that we had all this beautiful feelings. We had a good green and white scrimmage, all this bubble. And then we go out there and we run the same defense. So we weren't able to stop the Eagles at all. And Zach Wilson throws a pick. And he gets, at the time, we thought injured for the year. I thought, well, we had 4 minutes and 30 seconds of dream. That's what really bothered me.
I know everything was going so great until they started playing games.
That's it. I'll tell you.
But unfortunately, the most important part of a football season is actually the games. If we could just get along in practice, we'd be fine.
Frankie, I beg to differ. I am a big fan of I hate that the season has to come in and get in the way of our off season, quite frankly. I prefer the draft. I like draft analysis. I like the combine. This is
free agency period. Every free agent we get is going to be an all-pro.
Oh, they're so good. When we go out there and Joe Douglas figures out a way to get that guy for a good contract, who does it better than us?
Right.
There should be a damn trophy. Why don't we have any rings? Give us a shawl. Can you have an off-season shawl? Like the Lombardi shawl. You can make it the Weeb Eubank shawl for all I care. The Leon Hess crown, something. What do you call those things? Fedoras? Is that the princess fedora? We get a fedora. Wouldn't that be nice?
Not a fedora.
What's that called?
A tiara. How do I know that? I don't know. It comes out of my brain.
Hey, what's a fedora? Jeremy, what's it?
Fedora is a man's hat.
That's what it is. Like
stylish male hat. That's what it is.
All right. Jeremy wears those.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, when he goes to work. It's a different world. You know what I mean? So Mike Galizia checking in. Thank you for the super chat. He says, put towards whoever needs it. Keep up the good work. I've already decided. I think it's me, Frankie. I need it. That's what I'm going to do. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's the Green Bean show. Of course it goes.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take that one, Mike. But I know what his intention is, and this is what I can tell you. If you guys want to donate to the fund, number one, Mike, jokes aside, it's appreciated. I mean that sincerely. But if you guys want to donate to the fund to get, Chris and then all the guys, we have probably 7 or 8 now on the list from all over the place. I got one today from Victoria, Canada, I think it was. Beautiful. Great. So we have a list. If you want to donate to help get Jets fans to the games, please click the link in the description because they get 100% of that. If you do it through here, YouTube takes 30% right off the top. So if I take that and put it in there, it already loses a nice chunk of its potential capacity. So, but either way, Mike, thank you. It is appreciated. Let's get Dodona Cox checking in. Thank you for the super chat. I don't see a question, Dodona, or a comment. So if I see one, I'll try to get you up there. But thank you nonetheless. Let's see what else we got. Jeremy says it's a male. You know what a fedora is? It's a male version of a raspberry beret. So Prince, he actually had a song about it, but it wasn't as catchy. So they just stuck with the one. He was going to do both, to respect both male, female. He's going to do it. Landry wore a fedora. Correct. That's what it is, right, Frankie?
Yeah.
Tom Landry. That's what it is. Thank you. Jeremy, you good work. Good detective work. That was good. I appreciate it. So anyway, Brady Quinn making an ass out of himself, in my opinion. And somebody, I saw the comment, but it flew past me, and I apologize. They said, truth is negativity sells in the media, and we know that. We've dealt with that often. But this one was particularly venomous. You can see it right there. It's like, can we acknowledge once again? Like, what? How many times do I have to? Like, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like there's a little huff and a little puff. That's all I'm saying. Goodbye, Brady Quinn. We are terribly sorry. Don't worry. It's okay. So the next thing, I want to say this. I see another super chat. So I want to get that Cahill checking in. But I want to get to a very big story, Frankie. And maybe we'll wait for Jake to talk about Klecko. I want to talk a lot about Klecko. Some big news, man. And it's even bigger than yesterday's news. Like, he was at the facility today, and he created a scenario that all Jets fans should get. You should feel a little chill, like in your neck, a little bit, maybe a little bit in your belly. You should feel it. Okay, just the idea of it. And this is how powerful Klecko is. This is who he was. He presents an idea, and it has a physical impact in my body. I'm like, ooh, I get mad. I want to go run and hit somebody. That's how it goes with Klecko. That's when you know a good football player. When they speak, you want to run through something, So anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. But Thomas Cahill checking in. Thank you, Thomas. He says, GreenBean, Cager is tight end 3 ahead of Uzoma. We need to keep him. So, Thomas, I'm going to ask you this. Are you basing this opinion on his 2 catches in the preseason game against 3rd and 4th stringers? Are you doing that? I'm just asking, because if that's it, then that's a hard platform to prop this argument up on when Uzoma has played in the NFL at a high level and has been on a Super Bowl team and was effective and impactful and helpful to his team. So, and has stayed healthy. So Frankie, what do you think? Do you think, Cager, to not take it away, he had a good game. I thought he looked good. I really did. And his body, he is filling into that extra 25, 30 pounds nicely. He wears it well. He did look lanky. When he was here in 2019, he looked thin. He looked lanky. So maybe now, the extra muscle can do good for him. But what do you think? Do you think Cager is truly tight end 3 ahead of Uzoma, ahead of Ruckert, ahead of Yeboah? What do you think?
Well, Cager is definitely a good news story. So it seems like, once again, Joe Douglas strikes again. Remember, it was Joe Douglas who said, hey, I think it was Joe Douglas. Hey, wide receiver's not for you, Lawrence, but tight end, that might be a fit for you. So he went off and said, okay, I'm going off in the off season. I'm going to build my body like a tight end, and I'm going to play tight end. Right. He's come in and he's done well. And everybody says he's doing great. He's picking things up, needs to improve his blocking. So it's a good news story for sure. But like you said, CJ Uzama's had a history of 5 or 6 or 7 years in the league already being effective tight end. So no, he wouldn't be above him. But the other thing to keep in mind, and I'm going to do, I think, a video about this. One thing we as fans, I've noticed a lot, there's something called recency bias. Okay. When you see something recently, you prioritize it more than anything else. So last we saw Cager's making catches in the preseason game. We're hearing reports out of the practice field. He's doing great. And we're not really hearing that much right now about CJ Uzama. We didn't really see him do anything in the game. So recency bias takes over and says, hey, Lawrence Cager, he's something. Now, Lawrence Cager may be something, but one thing we always have to watch out for are these mental biases we have. One is called recency bias. I think that's what's happening with people like Cager. The same thing happened with Rashard Davis. People were telling me Rashard Davis is going to be wide receiver 3. And I said, no, he's going to project as a practice squad guy at best. And then we got rid of him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, right. It's the truth.
It's recency
I
bias
heard those
because he
arguments
did
too.
good in practice. So Rashard Davis was getting great reports at a practice. Wow, this guy's really fast. He caught a big bomb from, whoever. And so it was recency bias going, well, this Rashard Davis, he could be something. And so you got to be careful with that. But the point is, I think that Thomas maybe is getting at, is that Lawrence Cager is a good news story so far. And I think we should all be optimistic about that. It's fantastic that he's doing this well. It's a great, great situation. And I think it's wonderful. So again, Joe Douglas strikes again. How many of you thought about Lawrence Cager in the offseason at all? I didn't. I thought he was out of here.
Right.
And then we hear he's turning into a tight end, and now he's turning into maybe even a good tight end. And that's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, Y2K checks in and he tells us that CJ averaged 10 yards a catch last year and 5 touchdowns, which was his career high. So 10 yards a catch is pretty good for a team with dynamic weapons and everything. Like he's doing what a tight end, what you need your tight end to do, right? CJ Uzomah is the epitome of solid. Like, is he, Tony Gonzalez? No, he's not. But is he, who we just let go? Ryan Griffin? No, he's not. He is a guy. He is a solid tight end and a very strong acquisition by Joe Douglas. Now, here's the thing with Lawrence Cager. As Frankie just said, all great points. And I'm excited about Cager too. Truth is, I liked Cager as an undrafted free agent in 2020 when we brought him in. That was the 2020 draft. He was really on the back end of the free agent class. He had the weirdest, wackiest numbers, Frankie. He had like 19 college catches in 3 years, 19 catches, 16 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, all right,
a touchdown waiting to happen.
He had more touchdowns than the guys who had 80 catches. But it's like, so the thing with Lawrence Cager it's not his talent. He's actually got, he's known for having pretty strong, solid hands. He's a good high pointer. Like he's got the height, he's got the length, he's got the vertical. He has all that. The problem with him has been his inability to stay healthy for any considerable period of time. So the hope is that maybe adding this body mass, maybe that can actually benefit him because now he's chosen to go to a position that theoretically would require more contact, which wouldn't bode well for a guy who has not been able to stay healthy with no contact. So, and then he got his chance in 2020. As you guys remember, we were decimated by injuries. Dotson, Perryman, everybody was out, right? Everybody was hurt. And whoever it was on our team, we had the corpse of Chris Hogan. We had all the stuff out there. So Lawrence Cager got a legitimate shot. And guess what? He actually looked good. He was out there for 1 full game and then a period of another game. I think it was 2. It might have been 3. And he was out for the year. So like, that's the deal with Cager. So it would be wise not to cut a guy, Uzomah, Yeboah, Wesco, whoever it is. If you're going to cut them for Cager, it could come back to bite you. The wise move would be to stash him on your practice squad, play with him, use him all week, every week, see if he stays healthy in that capacity. If he can, then you know he's ready. Come back next training camp, stay healthy there, and we'll actually look at you as a true consideration to make the roster. But I don't even think he's a real consideration, barring some serious injuries, God forbid.
Yeah. So, and in all that time, he can work on his blocking. The receiving part is fine. He's a former wide receiver, but he does need to work on his blocking. So you can use that time to improve your blocking and come back next year and we'll see what you got.
This is a funny super chat. So Mike Galizia gave us the $10 super chat. I told him YouTube takes 30%. And he said, here. Well, thank you for the $1.60. We'll apply that to the 3 missing dollars, Mike. You're awesome, though, man. And seriously, I appreciate that and the levity. That's good, well placed. That's good fun. That's good old fashioned fun, Mike. Abstriku, our old friend, coming in. He says I think Frankie paid him probably $3 to say this. Join Frankie's army. It's fantasy league today. Did I say that right? Frankie, why don't you say it? Say it right.
Yes. Well, if you join Frankie's army and then you get access to a Superflex Dynasty fantasy football league. So, yeah, that's the way to do it. So, Abstriko's in the league. So, he's a big advocate for it. He's very active in there. You got a lot of chat going on. It's fully customizable. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, head over to my channel, join the army. You get access to that.
I love it. And I think that that's good. Abstriko, see, now look, people don't just do that because they feel obligated. He's doing that because he's having a good time. He believes what he's saying is true. Now, experiences may vary, right? Who knows? But Abstriko is what we got. He's in there having a blast. And he's saying he thinks you guys would have a blast. So I concur. Join Frankie's army and its fantasy league today. That's good. It's a good ad.
Yeah, appreciate it, Abstriko. Thank you very much.
Jets Forever saying the Cager hype is insane. Lying Michael and Ostrich. I don't know what that means. He's not that good. Chill. Okay. Lion Michael and Ostrich. I don't know what that means, Frankie.
Laughing my ass off.
Oh, that's what it is. JD loves position changes. Cager ain't going anywhere. We got a fight brewing in the chat here. This is good. So look at this. Everybody talking tight end. Caver. I think it's Cager, right? Cager could potentially be tight end free in the future. Yeah. Definitely not right now. And that is Vino, thank you for a very well-rounded. I think, like Frankie said, I think if you're a true Jets fan, it's hard not to root for the underdog guys, right? Like the guys that we pluck out of the scrap heap. You want those guys via hard work and dedication. Those guys making it to becoming a part of the team, making an impact, and even becoming, dare I say, good. And if they can be good football players, that is about as positive of a way to build a team as you can hope for, rather than, going and buying people. I mean, that's fine too at the end of the day, but there's something pure. There's something better. There's a little something to it when you find your own guys via the draft, and the later you find them, the more sweet it is. The Victor Greens, the Robbie Andersons, the Snacks Harrisons, and those types of guys. The Fadukasi was a 6th round pick. So when you can find these guys in the 5th to undrafted free agency, it's really sweet. There's a sweetness to it. And Cager, who was already gone, he was already out of here. They had given up on him. They cut him. He went and gained 25, 30 pounds and came back, and the Jets gave him that chance. That's an even better story. So I think it's great, but in due time, let's see how he makes it, because, again, his problem has been health. Now, speaking of health, Frankie, what do you think about oh, look, Chris just joined. Look at that. You got one, Frankie. Look at this. It's contagious. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Hennessy says we love underdogs. That's the truth of it. Now, Frankie, what do you think about another underdog whose problem has been injury, and that's Jabari Zuniga? Is there any reason to think that Jabari Zuniga is actually going to, number one, make the team, number two, have an impact? That he looks damn good. He's looked good in practice. He looked really good in the preseason game. What do we do with this? What do we make of this, Frankie? He's been a disappointment for 2 years. Most of Jetnation has wanted him gone since he got here. Really, they'll hate this guy. So what do you think?
Well, I think, what I've been thinking recently, Greenbean, a couple of guys who might have the roster spots up for grabs are Sheldon Rankins and Solomon Thomas. I mean, and one of the reasons is Michael Clemons, as awesome as he has been, and has anyone been as awesome in his play, in his press conferences as Michael Clemons? I mean, this guy might be my favorite human of all time. But so what we did with Clemons, we not only used him at the edge, but we also used him as a defensive tackle, and he had some reps that were pretty doggone good in the game. So it's possible that you can take these people and maybe position flex them. Maybe Zuniga could do something like that. And if he can, then you have people like Sheldon Rankins. I haven't seen anything out of Sheldon Rankins, not in that Philadelphia game. I didn't. And it's possible I missed something because defensive line play is hard to grade and so forth and so on. But I didn't see anything Sheldon Rankins was doing. I didn't see, and I was trying to watch him. And same thing with Solomon Thomas, because Solly Thomas is supposed to be a starter for us. I did not see somebody who should be a starter, at least in that game. And it's just one game, so we got to see. But
But
that
yeah, it's a
could be
good point.
that could be a way that Zuniga could find his way on the roster if he continues to dominate, and we can position flex him inside, which I'm not sure if we can or not, if he has the skill set for that. But that would be a way for him to find his way onto the roster. Otherwise, we're going to try to sneak him onto the P squad, and he may not make it this year because other teams might look at the tape that he's putting out
Yeah.
now in the preseason and say, "No, we'll take him. Thank you very much."
Right. Especially if there are some injuries. I mean, he's, look, when you're looking at the bottom end of your roster, that's where these guys are really valuable. But when you have guys that are better, younger, cheaper, all those things come into play, and tell you what, who didn't look good. And I was watching the defensive line too. Frankie and I like to keep our eyes off the ball as much as we can. We like to try to watch positions. It's hard to do, actually. I find if I don't stay focused on it, like if I don't I naturally watch the ball like most people do. But anyway, I was Nathan Shepard on that goal line play, buddy.
And Shepard, yeah, that's another one. Now, Shepard, I didn't include Shepard because Saleh loves Shepard. I mean, let's face it, he's like his adopted son. So I don't think he's going anywhere, not because of what he does in the field, because every time I watch the guy, he's getting blown off the line like he's not even there. But I don't think Saleh is going to get rid of him. I mean, he's the teacher's pet. I mean, he just is.
Yeah.
So, but these other two.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, Nathan Shepard. Look, it's preseason. That same thing with the good stuff. We don't want to get nuts. You don't want to get nuts with the bad stuff. But Nathan Shepard, dude, I mean, that's like we're on the goal line, make a stand. He got pushed. He got pushed from a 3-tech to a 5-tech in 2 seconds, in 1 second.
And you're supposed to be the king of strain. I mean, we call this guy the king of strain. Well, where's your, it's one thing to be the king of strain. How about being the king of an effective player?
Yeah. How about be the king of fucking doing your job? How's that?
Right. Doesn't matter how hard you try if you suck.
I want to take a second and acknowledge before he leaves. Ali from Loyal New York Jets fans is in the chat. Our good friend. He's saying something. The chat smeared up, and I lost him, Frankie. But he's here. I want to say, what's up, Ali? We love you. We're glad you're here. The sideline reporter for the New York Giants. I don't know if he's a sideline reporter, but he is officially working for the New York Giants. Our good buddy. He's just at the beginning of his upward trajectory, I assure you. And thanks for coming and hanging out, man. I see there's supposedly another guy in here aggravating everybody. We'll leave him alone. So look, John Hepburn, he says, look, pinch yourself. We're talking about having too many tight ends.
Right.
Man.
Right.
Isn't this interesting?
John. That's
it's
right.
Interesting.
Johnny.
That's the way to look at it, John. I mean, that's what it is. Look, when you're a good team, the identifier of a good team is when you have to cut players that are good. Like Robert Saleh said about the defensive line. He said, I think all these guys are going to make a 53. Now, I heard that going to make the 53, and I was wrong. But I made a whole video about it and everything. It's impossible to keep 18 damn defensive linemen. But he's got a point. He's saying all of these guys are good enough to make a 53-man roster. Now, they won't all here because we don't have enough space for them. But we do have a good group of guys right now that can apply to the tight end. Now we're here talking about maybe Sheldon Rankins, but that's the bottom end. If we have 18 and the bottom 4 are hot garbage and you got to cut 1 or 2 that are good, that's what good teams do. That's what good teams have to do. When you're talking about the tight end, like if we have to cut a Trayvon Wesco or a Kenny Yeboah or whoever, like that's painful for us because in years past, those guys were the ones we were pinning our hopes on. And now it's really at a place where it really might be the case that we have to let guys go that are good. The only concern I have, while I trust Joe Douglas drafting, I trust Joe Douglas trading, I trust him all that stuff, contracts, I'm not yet sure that we're going to cut the right guy and keep the right guy. Now, I mean, indicators say that we would, but I don't know. I'm spooked. I'm so nervous. I've seen it too many times. We cut Atari Bigby after 2 interceptions in a preseason game. He literally had 2 picks in a preseason game, and they cut him the next day, and he goes to Green Bay and has a Pro Bowl career. And just the name Atari Bigby, you got to keep, right? Yeah. I was like, you have to keep Atari Bigby. What is this madness?
I mean, we're already seeing some of these cuts. Like Hamilcar Rashed got cut, and he got immediately picked up by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's right down the street over here. And then we cut Derek Kelly, and somebody picked him up. So all the people we're cutting, they're not getting picked up, which is actually a good thing. It means we just have surplus talent. one point that I'd like to make about what you said, Greenbean, was with regard to the roster. I am hoping that we're not over fetishizing defensive line. Like, obviously, Robert Saleh has a fetish for defensive line. Like, Joe Douglas said, if we could have 53 defensive linemen, Saleh would be happy, that type of thing. But when it comes down to cuts, I hope we don't keep defensive linemen, extra and then cut elsewhere where we can't afford it, so that's something I'm going to watch very closely.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that. I mean, look, the way I'm thinking about it right now is, look, if this coach has a flavor that he wants, let him have his flavor and let's see if he can do something with it. Like, if that's what he wants, I need this toy. Okay, get him the toy. Does he really need it? So, but that's a great point. Like, are we over? Or like, let's say hypothetically we keep 11, even dare I say 12 defensive linemen, and then we go in there with 5 DBs, 5 wide receivers. Like, we really thin out a couple of other areas. That could be very dangerous. Now, do I think Joe Douglas would do that? I don't think he. I mean, I find Joe Douglas to be somebody who's like aware of how to build the team. Like, he's aware, like, he's not just somebody that's whimmy, it doesn't strike me that way anyway. So, and Aaron Daniels checking in, Frankie says, I can't hang out tonight, but I wanted to stop in and say, hey, I got to restart this one. I butchered you, Aaron. Aaron Daniels, thank you for the super chat. He goes, can't hang out tonight, but wanted to stop by. Jesus. Hey, wait a minute. I'm going to start over again. Why can't I do this? Can't hang out tonight, but wanted to stop in and say, hey, I'll catch the vid later. Well, Aaron, thank you. Glad you're here. Sorry to lose you, but yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, Aaron, when you're watching it tomorrow, at this moment, I want you to know this is, hey, tomorrow, Aaron, what's up? This is us talking to that guy. Hello, Aaron, tomorrow.
Future Aaron.
Future Aaron. Future Aaron. Don't eat the beans. Don't eat them. They're bad. So it's such an interesting thing. Like, so guys like Zuniga, we got a comment. Vino says Zuniga's a year too late. I'll tell you what, that may be. And I'll tell you what, Vino, on top of that, you guys know I like Bradley and I loved him coming out of the draft. I thought the Jets were going to take him. He was on the board when we were there. I forget who we took over him, but I was like, what? I was really surprised. And we ended up getting him later, so it looks like the Jets did, in fact, like him, but he had a terrible bite in the preseason. Did you see it, Frankie? Did you happen to notice the Bradley and I guess I'll call it the bite? Did you see it? Oh, my God.
No, I did not. But
4th and 2. You know how they do that to us, the Eagles and a bunch of other teams.
They always go for it. We better start stopping people on 4th down this year, by the way. The only reason they do that is because we never stop them. How about stopping them? Defense.
That's it. This is the stuff that CJ Mosley complained about last year. Like, he shared, he was upset that he wasn't in there because he was going to do what Quincy Williams did. It was like, I was going to knock his head off too. So,
he probably would have went after Fletcher Cox, which would have been, more apropos. You don't go after the quarterback.
Well, look, he's not on the field with Fletcher Cox, so he's got to go after Jordan Love. I'm not Jordan Love.
Run over to the sideline.
Yeah, he might just run right at him. Boom. But so look, that's the thing. While I do not justify in any way, shape, or form what Quincy Williams did, it was a late hit. The second we saw it, that's a late hit. Yep. I mean, what are you going to do? That's not good, especially in preseason. Like, here's the thing. When you're in a preseason game and your starters are out there, the agreement is the unwritten, potentially even written that we don't know about agreement is you're going to take care of our starters because we're going to take care of yours. We're not going to do that crap. We're not going to lose somebody for a cheap shot or a late hit. We're not going to play 100%. It's like a 94% thing. And that's what we do. So when we did that, that's what Nick Sirianni was yelling, Salah, what the hell?
And rightly so.
And rightly so. But I think that's what was happening. So they were all amped up. But Bradley and I on 4th and 2, when they were flat out disrespecting us, they ran an option. Well, it wasn't even an option. It was a fake handoff and it wasn't Jalen. I do that all the time with those two for some reason. Jalen Hurts, it wasn't him. It was like the 3rd string quarterback after Minshew. So he fake hands it off, and Bradley and I is back there. The play call was there. He bit on the running back 125%. There was no way. He went right, just cut and went right at it. I actually think I have it. Hold on. I'm going to show it to you. I think I took a
Now,
picture.
I wonder what the safety's doing in that situation.
Well, that's the thing. You have to wonder, was his responsibility
right.
the
Because sometimes at the mesh point, you do want your defensive end crashing down.
totally.
But,
And I
but
get
then
it.
you got to have the safety come into the run.
Correct. So now there was no one behind him. So
Okay,
either there was a major blow. I think that's what leads me to believe it was his job.
Mhm.
You know, he didn't have designs on one or the other. It was his job to read it. Now I'm going to show you this. This is how badly Bradley and I bit on this play. See him? He's number 50. The quarterback has the ball.
Mm.
Yeah, not fun at all. Jabari Zuniga getting held. You see him over here, Frankie? You see can you see my mouse?
Yeah, and Zuniga's in the middle. So Anai's an end. So if we played a bunch, I didn't notice, but I thought Zuniga played some at defensive tackle. I'm telling you, if he can do that to any degree of quality, that's his way on the roster to allow us to say to Solly and or Rankins, thank you for your service. But
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I
look
do
at that.
think the Jets teach. I do think the Jets teach the ends to crash down, because I remember a bunch of plays last year when that was the case. But because I was doing a Jason Pinnock film breakdown, and Pinnock was the safety in the run fit, and he tackled Trevor Lawrence a couple of times. He did what you're supposed to do. So, I actually think they teach this, but we don't know until we know.
Well, see, like you said, if you're going to teach that, then there has to be a backfill. There has to be somebody whose responsibility is for the end, because the whole job is containment. Now, if you're crashing, there has to be a contain. There has to be somebody with responsibility there. This play, I mean, clearly it was a 4th and 1. I thought it was 4th and 2. It was 4th and 1. But clearly it wasn't. All they needed was a yard. They think they got like 10. You know what I mean? 8, 9, 10 yards, something along those lines. So not a good showing for my boy and I noticed that when I was watching it again. I was like, who it is, that loser? And I went, oh, because it's my guy. Oh, shit. I thought it was I wanted it to be somebody that was, I didn't care about. But anyway, there it is. Crossfire checking in. Thank you for the super chat, Crossfire. He says, just because you make awesome content, keep it up. Well, thank you, Crossfire. I believe that. You got to let me know in a comment what your avatar is there. I'm curious. It looks like maybe a band logo. A glyph? Is it a glyph of some sort?
Or it could be a secret Illuminati symbol telling us that it's going to rain tomorrow.
Yeah, there it is. He's talking to future Aaron. He's like, don't eat the beans. That's what it means. Don't drink the coffee. Hey, there he is. Buffalo Jet is in the house. What's up, Buffalo Jet? Good to see you, buddy. He's our good buddy. We're hanging out. I stopped by his stream with some bald dude, and then situation report and I forget who it was, some bald guy. Was Y2K on there too? I forget. I think he was. No, it was just the three of you guys. But Frankie was in the chat. It was a good show. That was good. They were yelling at each other. But thank you, Crossfire. We have one more for now. Didon, thank you for the super chat. He says, offensive line takes 4 to 5 weeks to solidify.
If you're lucky.
Well, and that's why it's so important to have more than 1 year with the same group. Like, you want so badly for them to come into a second and third and sixth year together. And we have not done that in any way, shape, or form. I mean, even look from last year, the only guy playing the same position from last year is Connor McGovern. Even the guys that we have as holdovers are switching sides. So we can't in good conscience really expect this team, this offensive line, to be gelled by week 1. Expect pressure. And it's unfortunate and it sucks. And I would love to believe that they get on the better end of that than we were maybe last year. Because look, at least AVT, George Fant, Connor McGovern, Laken Tomlinson, at least they know the system. Now they're switching sides, so it's a little bit less than maybe brand new. Dwayne Brown is really the new one. Now he played in a similar system, right? They say, but not like Laken Tomlinson played in the system, knows probably much of the vernacular and the terminology and all that stuff. But even the guys we had are moving over to the right, so there's going to be a learning curve. But this is the most dangerous thing. I mean, we place all the emphasis on Zach Wilson, right? And look, I think to some degree, rightfully so. He's a quarterback, but you have to look at all the other variables. I mean, last year the offensive line took 6 weeks to even look like an NFL offensive line. I mean, they were a mess. They looked like they didn't know what they were doing. And Zach, we're throwing Zach in the toilet, So it's really important, man. Now, Frankie, let me ask you: do you think the addition of Dwayne Brown, the time that we have before Game 1, you think he's professional enough? Hey, I'm a pro. I know what I'm doing. I've done this. I've been there, done that. It's not going to be that much for me to kind of do my job. Do you think we're going to have a shorter learning curve with him, or do you think the line's going to have some trouble? What do you think here?
Well, it's hard to really say. I think he'll be fine. And maybe the silver lining to look at is, well, we're going to have Joe Flacco in there more than likely. And Joe Flacco's the veteran. So let Joe Flacco be in there until the line solidifies. As soon as the line solidifies, boom, put Zacho back in for Flacco. But,
that was good.
We go from Flacco to Zacho. And, but maybe by the time Zach's ready to come back, the line is solidified. And until then, we let the veteran, take care of things and get rid of the ball quickly and all of that. So maybe that's the way to do it. It's really hard to tell. I mean, Dwayne Brown should be able to do a good job, and maybe it'll be quicker because even though they're switching positions, the whole right side of the line is, people we had before. So we'll see. It's hard to know. I mean, a quarterback can make the line look good. If the quarterback's getting rid of the ball very quickly, the line can look great. Look at these guys; they're not giving up any pressures. Yeah, because he's throwing it in 2 seconds.
Right.
So there's that, and maybe that's what we got to hope for. Maybe our wide receivers get open so quickly that Joe Flacco can just get them the ball wide open, and there they go. That type of thing. So we got to see.
Frankie, now I'm going to present maybe I'll wait till Jake. Yeah, I'm going to present my theory when Jake gets here. Jake should be here any minute. I know you guys are looking forward to some Jake Asman, our secret spy down there in Houston. That's what he's doing down there. We got Frankie out in Pittsburgh. We got Jeremy's out in Sarasota. We got Y2K out there in Virginia checking out the Commanders, and we got Jake Asman down there in Houston. All I have is the Who's. UVA Who's, the Cavaliers. That's all I get. But we'll have him on in just a few minutes. I have I think a grand prophecy for you, Frankie. And I'm really curious to see what you say. But let's talk about Michael Clemons a little bit. Now you mentioned him. He gave an interview today where they asked him if he was happy with his performance. How happy were you with your performance? I think he had, and forgive me if I'm one off, whatever. I think he had 6 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for a loss. I'm not looking at it, so forgive me. But it's in that. Look at Jimmy. I'm scared of Michael Clemons. So I really liked his answer, which was very quick. Quick for him. He just thought about it for a second, like he likes to do, and he says, "I wasn't. Like, how happy are you? I wasn't happy." And do you think that's a good place for him to be, Frankie? I mean, is he allowed to be, acknowledge his what he's done, his success, for lack of a better term? Or, what do you take from this guy and how he holds himself? He also said that he's really crediting the coaches and his peers on the line, the vets, with helping him get better and work on some things that maybe he's not really good at, maybe developing another move or two instead of a bull rush or a rip, little rip action. So what do you think about these comments from Michael Clemons? You said you like him, but what do you think about how it's going to impact his game? Is this real? Is this guy for real?
I mean, at this point in time, he might be my favorite human being on the planet Earth. I love the way he pauses. My favorite thing about Michael Clemons is the pauses. He's just very comfortable with silence, like more comfortable with silence than perhaps any other human being I've ever seen. And you could tell he intimidates the reporters, which is also a side benefit. But I I kind of liked it. I mean, it's like it reminded me of the old Parcells days. We've been talking about some of the things that Saleh says and Albrecht says, and then they give a lot of excuses. Parcells never gave any excuse. They would say to Bill Parcells, "Hey, this running back ran for 200 yards. He's pretty good, isn't he?" And Parcells would say, "Yeah, that's fine for yardage, but he really needs to work on his pass pro. He really needs to work on some aspects in the passing game. You know, he would never." And so this reminded me of that. No matter how good he did, he's like, "No,
Right.
I wasn't satisfied with that. I can do better." Probably if he had 7 sacks and 10 pressures and 15 tackles for loss, and they would go to him and say, "Michael Clemons, you're the player of the week. Didn't you? Are you impressed with your game that you had?" He'd probably say, "No, I wasn't. I can do better." Like,
Right.
yeah, that's what I want. I don't want somebody saying it was the depth perception of the stadium and the sod was loose and this excuse and that excuse. No, we can do better. We're professionals. I like it.
I like it too. And I think I agree with you. I really enjoy his personality. I mean, from the word go, his first press conference, we kind of saw this man who, like you said, wasn't afraid of the pauses. I think it makes people so uncomfortable, like especially in New York, where New York minute, everything's like, everybody, there's like a gap there. You feel the need to fill it. Like if he's waiting, they're ready with another question or a rephrasing. Excuse me. And they're learning not to do that. Like he's going to answer. He's going to ponder first. He's going to organize it in such a way. I
love it so much.
I do too. I tell you, man, like I think my favorite Jet, and this is, since last year, personality wise, is Michael Carter, the running back, right? Michael Carter. I just couldn't love him more. I think he just has such an attractive way about him. I could listen. I want to like hang with him. I want to talk with him. He has that about him. But I gotta admit, the Michael Clemons, while it's so different than Michael Carter, I might even like it more. Like I just love it. The thing the other day with when Carl Lawson was mic'd up, and he's walking around and he says, "Hey, I got to tell you, you're mic'd up," and he like looks and finds the cameraman and goes. And then he puts his hands out for Carl Lawson, and Carl Lawson walks away. So he shakes his own hand. Okay. Even that was wonderful.
I think he's hysterical, man.
I really do.
I love people with different personalities. It's my favorite thing. It's very easy to just be the same as everybody. I like people who are different.
Agreed.
That's why I like you, Greenbean.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why I like you. You know what I like best about you, Frankie? You want to know what it is? And I miss it already.
What?
Tuesday Newsday.
Coming this off season.
I'll tell you, man, if you guys aren't subbed to Frankie's channel, like it's unique. Like a lot of us, like, there's a lot of similarities from one to the other. And everybody has their own personality. Of course, Frankie is so far out there into Uniqueville. He's complete. I'm telling you, I could listen to Frankie all day if I had the day to listen to him. But yeah, I love it, man. I think a Tuesday Newsday. It's so good. Jets New York 102. What's up, buddy? He says all electric, no brake. Keep up the good work, guys. I like this twist. It's funny at Frankie down at Disney World. I don't know if you've been, and this applies at Disneyland. Maybe you go out there more. I don't know, but they have this attraction there. I remember it as a little kid. It was there when I was a kid. I loved it. It is the Tomorrowland Speedway. Are you familiar?
No.
It's little cars, and it has a metal track in the middle, so you can let little kids drive, and it'll never go off the track. So, it's like they press on the gas, and the kids can drive, and it's like it gives them the illusion that, oh my God, I'm actually driving, So it's fun. But they have gas engines still, and it's when you get within 100 feet of it, you smell it. It's just like, and it's like you would think it's Tomorrowland. You know what I mean? You would think it's like, why aren't these guys first on that? I don't care.
It should be like Back to the Future at the end of the movie where Doc's putting garbage and banana peels in the thing.
Absolutely.
And he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I need fuel." What? Yeah, it should be something like that.
Well, you don't have enough roads where we're going. We don't need roads. Do you have a good Chris? What the hell's his name? Chris. I want to say Wallace.
Christopher Lloyd. I think,
Lloyd.
right?
There it
Yeah.
is.
He's a great actor.
Do you have a good Christopher Lloyd?
No, but that's one of my favorite movies, Back to the Future. Got to go back to the future.
Yeah, I think that Christopher Lloyd is the best, and I happen to love that particular version of Christopher Lloyd. So, guys, it is 9:02. This is the projected time, perfectly on the button of our hidden spy down there in Houston to come on the show. We are ready for him. Let us say hello to the one and only. Whoops, let me get that off there. Whoops, I'm sorry. I'm all of a sudden hit something here. Sorry. Let's say hello to the one and only Jake Asman. What's up, buddy?
GreenBean, what's going on, man? I appreciate the opportunity to come back on the show. How are you?
Hell yeah, I appreciate you coming back on. You know Frankie.
Oh, do I know Frankie? He's one of the all-time greats. Look at him.
Yeah. And Jake comes on with the Fire Klecko jersey. He doesn't mess around. He comes on. He got the Fire Klecko jersey. You love it. Nice job, Jake.
What a great thing to acknowledge, Frankie. But what a great thing to do, because I purposely held the Klecko subject for you. I had no idea. We didn't discuss this, that you were going to wear a Klecko. And now let me ask you, is that a new Klecko jersey, or did you have it since you were a kid or anything like that? What do we got here?
Yeah, this is a pretty new jersey, actually. I got this probably within the last year or so. I want him to go to the Hall of Fame. I've had Marty Lyons on the show and we've talked about it. I think I'm going to have Joe on within the next couple of weeks to actually talk to him. Amazing. Going to the Hall. But, my dad's favorite player growing up was Namath. But then, when he was a teenager, that was, prime 1980 sack exchange. So, I grew up hearing about Gastineau and Klecko and Lyons. So I had to get the jersey. I actually bought my dad a Namath jersey and a Klecko jersey. And I bought myself this Klecko jersey that I could proudly wear. And I'll tell you what, if Darrelle Revis joins Klecko at the Hall of Fame next year, I'm taking the YouTube show on the road. We're going to Canton. It's going to be a Jet weekend, and we'll be wearing Revis and Klecko jerseys every day next year.
Well,
breaking news. You heard it here first. You heard it on GreenBean Show. Jake Asman will be on the road in Canton, Ohio, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was going to ask you, did you hear Klecko kind of created that scenario today with a comment? He was talking to a overly enthralled Woody Johnson, who seemed like, I don't know if he knew who Klecko was. That's what it seemed like. He was like, okay. But Joe Klecko said, and I'll paraphrase here, but he said, if I get in the same year as Revis gets in next year, New York will own that place. Could you imagine? Now, do you think this is real? Because next year, if you guys don't know in the chat, Revis, this is his first year of eligibility next year. So a lot of people think that Revis just might be a first ballot Hall of Famer. There are detractors that say that the way his career ended, that maybe not, blah, blah, blah. But there's a strong possibility that he may be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, Joe Klecko, not first ballot, but this is the second year in a row. Very, very recent news. He made it past the 12-person senior finalist thing. Last year, he made it to the final two. This year, he's in the final two. We have Chuck Howley and Ray Riley. I might have Ray wrong, but Riley and Howley, those are his competition right there. So there's some real energy behind the idea that Joe Klecko might make it in. So, Jake, do you think there's really potential for Joe Klecko to get in this year for real? Like, biases aside, do you think it's real? And do you think that we could be so lucky to see Klecko and Revis together?
Yeah, GB, I think so. My understanding of the process is kind of reading through some of the reporting on it, Rich Samini in particular, is that this is like a formality now that he's one of the final three. Like, I think the cut down went from 12 to 3, and he's one of the 3. And I think you need 80% of the vote from the writers when they do the actual voting to get in. And that's kind of like a formality, the way it was described by many in the media. So I think he's getting in. The question is, does Revis join him? And we all know Revis is going to the Hall. The question is, does he go in on the very first try? Because it's not easy to do. There's only 5 new players every year they put in. I think Revis is a first ballot guy. I'm obviously biased when I say that, but I think most people agree Darrelle Revis is a first ballot Hall of Famer. So you put him in Canton with Klecko. The Jets are going to dominate that weekend next summer. And we're going to be getting probably the preseason Hall of Fame game featuring the Jets next year, which would also be awesome.
Now you're saying that, but let me ask you, why are people saying that? Why is it us? Like, is there something that we've triggered that next year we're in the Hall of Fame game? Why are people saying that? I have to admit ignorance on this one. What is it, Jake?
So my understanding is the way the Hall of Fame game works is they always try to feature teams who have a prominent player that's going into the Hall. That's why I believe this year the game was Jaguars Raiders, because you had Tony Baselli going in from Jacksonville, and then for the Raiders, Flores, their Hall of Fame coach now, he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So my understanding would be if you got the two greatest defensive players in the history of the Jet franchise going into Canton at the same time, why wouldn't you want to put the New York Jets in the game? Because the Jets have one of the biggest fan bases in the NFL, and Jet fans will make the trip to Canton to support the team and support Joe and Revis that weekend.
Frankie, I don't think that the Hall of Fame, if they decide to make that decision to give us the Hall of Fame game, Joe Klecko and Darrelle Revis in the same damn time, I think they're aware of what we're going to do. How
the only problem with that is that the only problem with this whole thing is that the Hall of Fame will make about $1 gazillion billion, and I don't know if they have a bank account big enough to hold all the money they're going to make when the entire tri-state area descends onto Canton, Ohio. They might have to build 17 new hotels, But other than that, I think it's a great idea.
Well, I think, look, man, it makes a lot of sense. Now think about this. Think about, so the 12 the 12 finalists, they go to the senior panel. They do the whole thing. I did some research on this, Jake. Now, once those guys are about to vote, the NFL sends two consultants, contemporaries of the finalists, and they share their points, their opinions of the players, and then they make the vote, and then they go to this now where we are now. So the NFL, if they're thinking about it from a dollars and cents perspective, I think Frankie has a point. They might say, like, guys, this would be the biggest damn weekend in New York Jets since the Super Bowl. I mean, it really would. When's the party? Can you imagine? I can't think of a time where we would have been more excited than Klecko, Revis, and the Hall of Fame game coming in the same time. Can you think of anything? I can't.
Yeah, I mean, if you want like a celebration, no doubt it'd be this, because I guess you could say, oh well, how about the lead up to the championship games, and those were great times, but like it's also like we're focusing on a game. It's not really like a party until you get to the Super Bowl. Then you could celebrate with the 2 weeks from the championship game to Super Bowl Sunday. This would be awesome. I think it's going to happen, though. Klecko's going in. I think Darrelle Revis is a first ballot guy. He's clearly a Hall of Famer. The question is, does he get in on the very first try? And, I mean, the NFL, I think, would give the Jets the Hall of Fame game. So that'd be an absolute blast to spend a weekend up in Canton with every Jet fan in the tri-state making the trip. That'd be a ton of fun.
Oh, yeah, I would be there with you. Now, a lot of people don't know this because nobody watched the damn video, Jake, but I actually got the Hall of Fame to let me in. And they gave me a tour, and they let me produce content from inside the Hall of Fame. Like they set me up. They gave me wires and lights. It was beautiful. They let me do it. And I think I got 204 views.
Oh, you got to post it again. You got a bigger following now. Now people are going to be like, Green Beans at the Hall. We need to check it out.
You're right. I am going to post it again. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And so, guys, brace yourself for my brand new video live from the Hall of Fame. But so here, I have a grand theory, Jake. This is like, I pay attention to a lot of cosmic stuff. I pay attention to Mercury and retrograde and all that stuff. Now, I'm not an expert, but I pay attention to it. And I'm sensing, because when Zach Wilson went down and everybody was saying ACL, the Jets' story up to this point, the likelihood of worst case scenario was what we're used to, what we expected, and generally speaking is what we would experience. That's what we have. Like whenever somebody gets injured, it's never the good injury. It's always the bad side of it, right? So Zach, we literally get best case scenario after an onslaught of every internet doctor in the world said that was an ACL, Jake. We get bone bruise, right? So that's what we get in a slightly torn meniscus, 2 to 4 weeks. Because of that, this is what I think. I think that the energy and the tides are turning for the Jets. They are legitimately, sincerely turning. Zach's injury is very driven by the football gods. We happen to have Joe Flacco as a backup quarterback. Our opening day game happens to be against his former team, which I believe this will be his first time getting to play them after leaving the Ravens. So it just so happens to be that our backup quarterback, when Zach goes down, is their former guy, a guy they tossed aside. They threw him in the garbage, Jake. So the only reason Zach went down, it was just a little something so the gods can put Joe Flacco in there for the revenge game. Then Deshaun Watson gets an 11-game suspension, so he's out of there. Now we're going to win these first 2 games with Joe Flacco. Zach's going to come in healthy. This year we're going to get Joe Klecko. We're going to get Revis. We're going to get the Hall of Fame game, and it's all coming. Do you see the design? This is beautiful, grand design. Am I nuts, Jake, or is there any validity to this, do you think?
Well, I think you're a little nuts. You're a Jet fan, right? I mean, we're all nuts that somehow supports this team year after year. Look, I like it, man. I like the theory. I mean, I'm amazed that Zach Wilson is not done for the year, though. I still am in disbelief that we actually got a break as Jet fans, that it was not season ending, that there's a chance, honestly. I don't think it's out of the question, GB, that he plays week 1. I know they'll be extra cautious and they want to make sure Zach's 100% and they're comfortable with Flacco. But you heard Saleh today talk about how Zach's already back with the team. He's already walking. It's a 2 to 4 week injury timeline. Let's say it's only 2 weeks. That would give him 10 days from when he's healthy to practice with the team and get ready for week 1. So I don't think it's totally out of the question that we even see Zach week 1. If he can't play week 1, I think we're in good hands with Flacco for a game. And then obviously, if Zach's healthy, he's got to play. I've been arguing with some, I want to say all, but some Jet fans on my show saying, well, what if Flacco's great? We got to stick with him. And I'm like, yeah, I hope that he plays great. But ultimately, we need to find out what Zach Wilson is. And the only way to evaluate him, whether you think he's going to be good like I do or you think he stinks, is for him to play. So I hope your scenario plays itself out. Flacco comes in, sticks it to his old team. And then week 2, Zach's back and he sticks it to the Deshaun Watson-less Browns.
Right. It sounds beautiful. And look, I want to make public. I've been talking about it with Jets fans as well. I agree with you. I think that the job of a number 2 quarterback is to be able to come in and give us a good opportunity to win the game while the starter is not available. That's the number 2's job. If the number 2 comes in and plays well, that's the goal. That doesn't mean that now he's your starter. That's not the way this should work. Now, if we don't play Zach this year, let's say they do that and they give Flacco the whole year and everything, what happens next year? Flacco's 39, I think, right? So now he's 39 years old. Do we continue to go this way? No, you want to know what's going on with your young Zach Wilson before we move on. Frankie, let me ask you, do you, just to make this clear, see if it's a trifecta, Joe Flacco comes out, throws for 426, 4 touchdowns, and rushes for a touchdown. An 84-yard rush from Joe Flacco for a touchdown. Are you starting him week 2 if Zach's healthy?
No, I think when Zach's healthy, he plays. We need to evaluate Zach. And if he's – because at the end of this year, we have to have some contingency plans, I think. And we need to know what level of contingency plan we need. If Zach comes back and he's bad, we might need a round 1 quarterback contingency plan. But if Zach plays well and stays healthy and everything's going great, we probably need a Bailey Zappi type of contingency plan, round 3 or 4, a guy who can just be in the pipeline, sit behind, and just in case. But we need to know, because I think we need some sort of contingency plan for Zach, but it's just what level of contingency plan do we need? So we can't make that evaluation if Flacco's playing. So I think Zach has to play.
Yeah, it's ultimate importance. That's really what it is. But the good news is for week 1 is that I don't even know if Joe Flacco has ever had this wide of a scope of young weapons before. I mean, he obviously had Anquan Boldin, he had Ray Rice before the problems and all. He had a good team, of course. But we have some potential here. Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson. We have a lot going on that if Joe Flacco, I'm not nervous about him being our starter. I mean, I think if Zach's not ready, there's no urgency, especially because it's the Baltimore Ravens. Now, backing it up just a little bit, Jake, I want to get your opinion on a few things. Now, we're talking about Zach a little bit. He didn't look great in the opener. And that's, I can understand, how we are as a fan base. We're very fickle. We're very pendulum swingy kind of, and look, the truth is Zach didn't look good. The first pass was right over his head. And then he throws the pick, terrible decision, the whole thing. So I understand Jets fans being nervous, but what are you making about his play? I mean, we only got a couple minutes of it, but do you have that same like, oh shit feeling? Or are you just like, hey man, it is what it is. It's, a little nerves for NFL action. It's fine. Where do you sit on this?
Look, I'd be lying if I said, like, in a perfect world, I didn't want to see Zach Wilson go out there and, like, lead them down the field, score a touchdown on the opening drive. But at the same time, good or bad, I'm just not going to panic in the preseason. Like to me, it's foolish to judge anything based on what you see in the preseason. Preseason can matter for certain players. I don't know if it necessarily matters for Zach Wilson in year 2. What I mean by that is really, like, last year he played great in the preseason when he was out there, and where did that get this team at the beginning of the year? So I think people are putting too much stock into it. The other thing I would say is, had he not gotten hurt and he finished that second drive, there's a good chance the Jets maybe score a touchdown on that drive. And we come away from that game with, all right, one bad interception, I'm not going to make an excuse for it. And that can't happen when the games count. You can't lock in on Corey Davis and not see the linebacker. We all get that. We all could acknowledge that. But if they had scored on that second drive, I feel like the conversation is completely different about Zach. So I just don't think, we should have too many hot takes, good or bad, on what we see. My biggest thing is, let's hope nobody gets hurt, right? I hope Joe Flacco gets through Monday night and he's still healthy in the starting quarterback for the Jets. Is it ideal Zach threw a pick? No. Am I going to freak out about it? I'm not. I want to see what happens in the regular season, and I'm going to evaluate Zach based on what we see then.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good point. I mean, let's say hypothetically Zach doesn't go down and we do score a touchdown. We're talking about 14-7 when the starters go out. Big whoop, right? It's a whole different vibe. Look, and that doesn't take away that he looked a little bit nervous. He looked a little bit off.
He doesn't have his starting tackles in the game as well. He's getting pressured on every play. I mean, look, I'm not going to make a million excuses for Zach. If that happens in the regular season, we'll criticize him. But it's the preseason, and I don't know, man. We got enough problem being fans of this team in the regular season. I want to save my energy for that and not worry about the preseason.
Right. You don't want to show up to the season burnt.
I can't do it, man. I can't do it.
Yeah. So bringing, like, just kind of for a few minutes talking about that game, we saw some good play from people and we saw some negative play from people. From your vantage point, who was the guy that kind of stuck out to you as maybe turned your head a little bit? Again, the results of the game are pish posh. It really doesn't mean anything, but individual play, especially young guys or guys battling for a roster spot, you can at least get a look at those guys, which I think is where the value is in preseason. Who stuck out to you offensively, defensively, doesn't matter, in the first game?
Yeah, I'll highlight 2 rookies. I was impressed by what we saw from Garrett Wilson. I thought he should have had another catch if Zach put that ball on him in that opening drive. I thought he made plays when the ball was thrown his way. I wish I could give credit to the person on YouTube that did the breakdown, but someone did a film breakdown on Garrett Wilson on all his reps. He was open a lot. He looked really good. So yeah. I thought he showed out and he did a good job. And then, let's give some love to Michael Clemons. I mean, I don't know what his role is necessarily going to be on this team right away because they have a lot of really good defensive linemen, but he was probably the best player on the field for either team overall in that game. And I get it. He's doing it against guys that, are the bottom 30 players on the Eagles roster, but what do you have, 7 pressures according to PFF and a sack? Yeah. And so Clemons was someone that I think maybe they should give him some more playing time against Atlanta, against some of the starters, and see if he can have that type of impact. So those 2 rookies caught my eye in a positive way.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, Garrett Wilson, I don't know if I saw that video, but I saw it was like 1 or 2 plays that he didn't get. He was wide open. And there was one where I think it was Mike White maybe didn't see him or what have you. And his ability to lose the DB covering him is exceptional. I mean, so far, again, 1 game and all that, but it looks exciting, man. Garrett Wilson, and coupling him with the surgical route running of maybe, Elijah Moore and what he could potentially bring. We might have something if Zach can actually hit these guys.
Yeah,
we might really,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Really. Now, as far as, like you mentioned, Michael Clemons, who do you think, Michael? So, like, we have this overabundance of defensive linemen. Frankie and I were just talking about it. We let Hamilcar Rashid go, and we still have guys like Bradley and I. We have Sheldon Rankins, Nathan Shepard, who actually had a bad game week 1. Who do you think is, like, Michael Clemons is going to make the roster? Is a guy like Jonathan Marshall out? Is a guy like Sheldon Rankins out? Who do you see kind of, maybe not making the cut here from that particular unit?
I don't know if Nathan Shepard's a lock to make this team. You look at the contract that he signed. It was like a 1-year deal for like $800,000. By the way, he's the only Mike McCagnon draft pick to get a second contract with the Jets. Think about that for a moment. Nathan Shepard.
Amazing.
And it's a 1-year deal for less than $1 million.
Good stuff.
It's tough. It's tough because we're not there every day, right? Like we're not in the film room with these guys. We're not at practice every day, understanding what the assignments were for these defensive linemen. They can't keep everyone. We know Clemons is making the team. It wouldn't shock me. I think Rankins makes the team, but it wouldn't shock me if they made him a cap casualty and released him because none of his money is guaranteed. But he's also a leader on the team that has played in the NFL a while and has the respect of guys in that room. So I think Shepard, I think Marshall. I mean, one of those guys I'd look to because they got honestly, it's a credit to Joe Douglas and the offseason they've had. They've added a lot of talent to the D-line room that you feel pretty good about.
Yeah. Now, as far as what you're hearing, look, you guys don't know this, but Jake is an insider, man. Jake, no, he's got friends. He knows people.
Yeah.
Okay. Me and Frankie, we just grumble and bitch and moan. Jake knows stuff. So like we have this new quarterback come in. I'm sincerely curious about this. And number one, your opinion, but also if you're hearing anything. This guy Streveler comes in and he looks good, right? So we have Mike White. We gave him a decent contract. We gave him a conditional free agent. I'm just losing I'm forgetting the name of it, but we kept Mike White. We wanted him. We kind of prioritized him a little bit. Would you and do you think the Jets could possibly favor Streveler over a Mike White, maybe try to get something for him, a sixth, a seventh, something like that, and keep Streveler? Or do you think Mike White is like long for this team? I'm sincerely curious about this and what you know and what you think.
So I don't have any like inside information on this. I'm just going off of the way Robert Saleh talked about Mike White. I mean, the other day he said we have 3 starting quarterbacks on this team. And he referenced Mike White, obviously, as the third guy behind Zach and Flacco. I'd be surprised. I really would. I mean, look, Streveler played well, give him credit, but what does it really mean when you're doing it in like the last game or the second half of the first preseason game? I mean, good for him. It was exciting. It was fun that Rucker caught his first touchdown from him and whatnot. But I just think you saw Mike White play last year, played well for the most part when he was out there. You won a game against the now defending AFC champions. So,
right.
Like, why would you mess with that, right? So I'd be surprised. I think Streveler's the guy they could look to keep on the practice squad. Teams always try and stash a fourth quarterback there. So maybe that's his role. But I'd be really surprised if Mike White, especially if Zach's not playing week 1. If it's Flacco as the starter, then I think Mike White is definitely the backup against Baltimore.
Okay. Yeah. And that's a very good point, actually. It's like they at least have some confidence, they're comfortable with Mike White, going into the game with Flacco as the starter and then Streveler. Like, so if tragedy strikes, Streveler's our quarterback. That's a little unnerving. At least we know Mike White has actually, look, like you said, he beat a damn good team. And
he's
he
in the
looked
Hall
good.
of Fame, according to Robert Saleh, right?
He's in the Hall of Fame. And he looked good that Colts game, too. He came right out, threw a touchdown to Elijah Moore, and then he hurt his finger, I think it was, in the end of the Mike F. and White story. It was gone after that.
That was so Jets that night, too. I mean, it's just he goes right down the field. He's looking great. He gets hurt, and then we never see him again because of whatever injury he suffered, and then comes back against Buffalo, throws 4 picks, and we're like, all right, well, there's the Mike White story.
Yeah,
there it is.
There it is. And there it is, everybody. Thanks for watching. Come again. It was very, very Jetsy. What was crazy too is that our third string quarterback, Josh Johnson, I think it is. Yep. He came in and he threw for 375 yards, and it was like really just, I don't know. The whole thing was just abnormally painful. And poor Zach, But so we do have a super chat. Michael Elias checking in. Thank you, Michael. He says, let's just say it as it is. Flacco is a glorified quarterback coach who gets to play when needed. I know Jake loves this question. So who do you think we draft? Oh, come on, Michael. We're going right for the draft. Do you have any thoughts on that yet? No, right? You're not on the draft.
God help us if we're talking about drafting a quarterback next. I mean, look, I know the names, right? Like I cover the Texans, and there's a lot of talk about, well, they got 2 first-round picks. Deshaun's not playing now. It could be 2 in the top 10. Like it's Bryce Young, it's CJ Stroud. Those are the top 2. Then you got Tyler Van Dyke at Miami. We're not doing this though, because Zach Wilson's the guy, and we're not going to be concerned about drafting a quarterback. That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Well, I know, Michael. I think as far as the quarterback coach thing, I really don't know if that's accurate. I don't think so. I think Flacco is still a competent quarterback. And as we see, quarterbacks are playing longer and longer. I think even guys like Dan Marino would have stayed another 10 years or some, like it was just seen as like once you got to the mid 30s, late, it was like, okay, it's just time to go. Like now they'll play 40, 41, 42. Brady is what? He's 45, 46, whatever he is.
He's never retiring. He's 45 years old. He'll keep playing another 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, Vinny Testaverde's like, wait, I didn't know I didn't have to leave. I'm coming back. I'm coming back in. I can do it. So I don't know. I think Flacco is a quarterback coach of sorts. I think he's a good mentor and role model for Zach Wilson, but I actually feel confident if he comes in for a game or two. I don't feel like the season's lost. I don't feel like it's Luke Falk or Bryce Petty or any of these guys. I actually feel like, okay, we're at least in good hands for a little while. Zach can go down a little bit. And Flacco is okay. Do you agree? Do you think that he's just kind of a quarterback coach?
Yeah, I think Joe Flacco could still play. Like I look, I don't know if he would hold up over a 17-game season. My definition of if you're a good backup quarterback or not is over a 4-game stretch, can you go 2-2? And I think with Joe Flacco, with this team, the improvements they made offensively, the improvements they have made on the offensive line, I think they can. And the one thing with Flacco that never gets talked about, he was here last year. Yes, they acquired him midway through the year, but he's been in the system. He knows LaFleur's offense now. So, if you had brought in a different veteran that would have to learn the system, like maybe they wouldn't hit the ground running the way that Flacco has. But all the reports about Flacco since Zach got hurt is that he's been running the first team really well and he's playing well. So right. I don't think we should be surprised because he was in the system a year ago and he kind of knows where to go with the ball.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point too. Last year we really saw and we endured a lot of learning the system, particularly in the quarterback room and offensive line. I mean, it was like just out of control. They were learning it. They looked lost at times. We were talking about that before you got here too. Like we lost Becton and we very, very quickly brought on a previously Pro Bowl level, even as recently as last year, Pro Bowl left tackle, which pushes George Fant to the right, which shakes things up. The only guy playing the same position on the offensive line as last year is the center, Connor McGovern. Everything else has been shuffled, even with the guys who are returning. How are you seeing this? How long is it going to take Dwayne Brown to fit in? Do you think moving ABT and Fant over to the right side is a big deal? I mean, do you think we're going to see them kind of gel by the time we get to week 1, or is this going to be a problem?
Look, I'm not going to give them, that many games before I say, like, you got to start playing well. Like, this is a veteran-heavy offensive line besides AVT, who's one of the more talented offensive linemen they've had in a long time, right? Like, other than that, McGovern's a veteran, Fant's a veteran, Dwayne Brown's as veteran as you can get in the NFL. He's 37 years old in a couple of days. Obviously, you look at Laken Tomlinson, he's a Pro Bowler that knows this offense because they play the same offense in San Francisco where he's from. This offensive line should be pretty good right away. There's enough time between now and, week 1 for Dwayne Brown to get acclimated, for AVT to be settled in as a right guard. I'm not going to sit here and make excuses if the line's terrible at the beginning. Like year 2 in this system, the guy they added that's new to the system is not really new to the system because he's been here or been in the system with the Niners. Dwayne Brown's should be able to pick up any offense because he's been doing it forever. So this offensive line should be pretty good right away, and that should help Flacco run the ball, give him a good line, and let Joe Flacco show off that arm strength he still has and make some plays downfield against Baltimore. They do that, they got a great chance to win.
I agree. I'm excited. I really am. A lot of Jets fans are kind of in the dumps about this. And I know, look, if Zach's down, like switching gears to Flacco and making yourself excited about that could be a little bit of desperation trying to make myself feel better. I understand, but I legitimately believe that the Jets can win this game. I really do.
How many teams have a backup quarterback as good as Joe Flacco? Honestly, could Joe Flacco not start right now for this? I'm watching Geno Smith get sacked in the backfield and losing 15 yards. Could Joe Flacco not start in Seattle? I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you Joe Flacco's this great quarterback, but for one game with plenty of time to prepare for his old team with a pretty solid offensive roster around him at home, I don't think it's crazy to expect the Jets to be in the game in the fourth quarter with a chance to win opening day.
Oh my God. And you're going to be there. Or did I get that wrong? You're
I
not
wish
gonna
I was going to be there. I'll be here in Houston, unfortunately.
You were at your just a game. You were at the other game the other night, weren't you? You actually got to come up for the opening preseason game. Is that right?
So I went to the green and white scrimmage. So it was at MetLife. It wasn't quite a game. It felt like it a little bit. We did do the tailgating thing. I was hanging out with the guys and gals at the Jets Lounge, which was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
But it was as close to a game without it being a game. It was the only time I've been at MetLife, like what felt like a primetime game, because God forbid the Jets ever got primetime games. They've been so bad.
I know, right? I was actually happy to see that you made it because it's cool, man. It's like, look, guys that don't live there. I mean, if we live there, we can go to, 4 or 5, all of them if you want, games a year. But guys like yourself, you live down there in Houston. Frankie's in Pittsburgh. I'm down here in Charlottesville, Virginia. It's not easy to get up there. So when I really, I'm still waiting for Frankie to get his ass to a game. I think he's moving that way, though. I sense it. I feel it coming, Jake. I think Frankie's going to make it.
Week 4 against the Steelers. Week 4 against Pittsburgh, right? The Jets versus Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky. That's a winnable game right there.
I'm telling you, Jake, if Joe Flacco comes out and gets revenge on Baltimore, then we play, Jacoby Brissett. Then we play, who's third? The Bengals, right? So even if we lose that one, but if we win, if we go in and you got, let's say, Kenny Pickett by that time, week 4, Kenny Pickett's in, and we feast upon him with this just nasty defensive line rotation that we have, and we come out of that 3-1 or 4-0. What do you think?
Oh man,
is this real?
If they start 3-1 or 4-0 after winning a combined total of 6 games the last 2 years, I mean, this fan base will celebrate it as if they won the Super Bowl. I mean, I thought it was crazy when I'm a huge Knick fan, and when the Knick fan won a playoff game 2 years ago against the Hawks. I mean, they closed down the streets outside MSG because the Knick fans were going nuts. Like, the Jet fan is just as passionate as the Knick fan. If the Jets were to go out there, I mean, if they win week 1, it's going to be an absolute party. But you're talking 3-1, 4-0. Could you imagine how this fan base is going to be reacting if that were to somehow come to fruition?
Well, you're absolutely right. It would be game week 4 or 5 of the season. We would literally be celebrating as if it was the Super Bowl.
That's right.
That's what would be happening.
That's right.
And I'm in.
GB, this team has not won a game in September since Sam Darnold's first game on Monday Night Football. Like, we're not, the bar is so low for this team. We're like, please win a couple games in your division, win some home games. Don't start 0-4. Win a game or 2 in September wouldn't kill you. Play like the Jets have had the worst record in football since 2016. They had the longest playoff drought in the NFL, and it's not like we're sitting here saying playoffs are, but we just want the team to be competitive and have a chance to compete in the month of December. The bar is still so low for this franchise.
Yeah, we were talking about it last time you and I, when I was on your show, we were talking about we're only asking for 7-8 wins. That's all. That's all we want, and we'll be happy. If other teams like 7 wins, that would be devastatingly painful for me. We're like, ooh, we'd love a good 7-win season.
Sign me up, 7-10. Let's go.
The bar is low. I want to tell you guys, we are here with Jake Asman, 97.5 Houston ESPN radio and diehard Jets fan from Long Island. Right? Did I get that right?
That's right. Syosset, Long Island.
Syosset, Long Island. And he's wearing his Klecko jersey to help add to the energy to get a true Jets legend into the Hall of Fame. Better late than never. If you guys want to write a comment, we're going to look at the comments and try to get as many of your comments in. As Jake says, I'll do this in his honor. Super Chats cut the line. And we'll try to get to as many as we can. And the first one up is Rick. He is letting us know that Michael Clemons has power, size, and play. Reminds him of a guy named Bruce Smith. What do you guys think? Jake, what do you think?
I love this fan base. Michael Clemons has a good first preseason game, 4th round pick. And we're comparing him to one of the best defensive football players ever. I love it, Rick. I hope you're right. I hope he's just as good, if not better, than Bruce Smith.
Yeah. Frankie, do you see Bruce?
Greenbean, remember when I said those 2 words, recency bias? Remember that?
That's it.
You might want to keep that in mind, Rick. We all hope that Michael Clemons could resemble anything close to Bruce Smith.
I see Lawrence Taylor. I see Reggie White. I see J.J. Watt. I mean, I think might be better than all those guys combined.
Well, it's like, look, he's a hybrid of those guys. He has all of their traits, very similar to how Zach Wilson is a hybrid of Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Look at this stockpile of legendary talent we have on this team. It's amazing. It really is.
It's amazing we only won 4 games last year. Well,
It
but Michael
really
Clemons
is.
wasn't on the team, so
Well,
I
that's
guess
why.
that's why.
That's why, Frankie. Michael Clemons wasn't here yet. It's going to be exciting. Thank you, though, Rick. We're having some fun, but we're with you, man. We see it. He looked good. We love his personality. We love his the way he attacks practice and the game, and he looked good. Hey, if he's going to be put out there with third stringers, we want him to dominate. You got to dominate those guys before you can get up to the first stringers. So far, so good. First game, check. So Sneakers to Boots is next up on the list. Thank you, Sneakers to Boots. He says, great show, fellas. On a scale from 1 to 10, how worried are you about intensity and Salah making the same mistakes? Typically come out flat. Quincy should have been taken out after the hit and yet wasn't. That's actually an interesting comment, Sneakers to Boots. But Jake, what do you think? How worried are you? And you can use the scale if you'd like, about the kind of the intensity of Salah. Our defense came out, looked very, very, not just vanilla. They looked identical to last year with the space. Kind of looked a little bit maybe, unenthralled, I'd say. How worried are you about the all gas, no break having very little behind it?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't look good. Well, at the same time, I think it's unfair to evaluate what this defense is when DJ Reed doesn't play, CJ Mosley doesn't play, Carl Lawson doesn't play. I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Jordan Whitehead played in that game.
Yeah, he did.
So, look, it wasn't ideal. Obviously, the defense has got to be way better when we get to the regular season. I just don't want to put too much stock in a preseason game, right? I just don't think that's right. As far as Sneaker to Boots' point about them coming out flat and intensity, that was a problem last year. You're absolutely right. I mean, even things like the Jets off the bye week getting destroyed by New England. Like, you had 2 weeks to prepare for the Patriots. That was the performance you put forward in that game. So there's definitely some concern with this coaching staff in Robert Saleh until they prove it. Well, at the same time, I think we got to give everyone the benefit of the doubt until we see how it plays out in the regular season.
Yeah, and I think the second half of this too is interesting. I'll be honest, I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of this. Frankie, what do you think? Should Saleh have just taken him out to let everybody know this is not what we're doing here? Or do you think it's fine?
Well, I think there's a point to be made because of the circumstances. He was getting screamed at by Coach Sirianni, cursed out, and appropriately so. In that circumstance, and Jordan Mailata was coming over and wanting to fight everybody, as he should have, and as you as an Eagles fan would want him to do. In that circumstance, I do think Saleh should have had more of an idea that I got to do something. I can't just pat him on the rear end and say, go back in there and don't do it again. Like, maybe you should have just yanked him by the collar and screamed in his ear hole for 2 minutes. So that way everybody onlooking, the other team, Sirianni, the cameras, would know Saleh takes this seriously and is taking this player and yelling at him in the moment, because it wasn't just a normal play. This was a situation where you have a head coach cursing you out from the other sideline. That's unusual, Saleh. So that moment maybe called for something different than he would normally do. Now, he's a second-year head coach, and he's learning. And unfortunately, there's going to be growing pains. And I have to hope that that's a growing pain and not a trend, when he can, kind of realize what the moment calls for at that time.
That's a good point, Frankie. And look, Saleh has proven, at least to some degree, that he learns from his mistakes. And I'll give you one example. Last year, we had that painful 4th and 1 delay of game, or 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, whatever. I think it was 4th and 1 delay of game, and Jetnation ridicule. I can't believe, how do you get a delay of game on a 4th and 1 and get you now it's a 4th and 6? How do you do it? He said he counted on the floor, and literally 1 week later, it was 4th and 1. It was actually 3rd and 1 that time, but he called the timeout. Jets fans went nuts. How do you have to call a timeout, waste the timeout on 3rd and 2? So there is really, and we know this about ourselves. This is who we are as a collective. Maybe individually we might not be, but as a collective, we are this way. We're intense. There is a bit of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But the reason that he called the timeout that following game is for the exact reason that what happened the week before. He learned from it. That's why he did it. He also changed practices this year, OTAs, because of what he learned last year. So we are seeing that, and this is probably the first time that he's dealing with this as a head coach. That was a very intense moment, and I think Frankie's point is pretty valid. I don't know if he really knows what to do, and or is comfortable yet making a bold move like that. It's interesting, but I think, look, we all know it was a late hit and it sucks. And look whose quarterback ended up getting hurt. It was ours. So karma is a weirdie, and karma comes around in all sorts of wackadoodle ways. And I think we saw that. Sack Exchange in the house. What's up, buddy? He says, look at this. My favorite bunch of guys. There he is. Look at this, Sack. There it is.
The Jet Lounge, baby.
That's right. That's a beautiful shirt, by the way. I really like it.
Send me one. They were nice enough to send me a shirt after I was hanging out with them at the green and white a couple weeks ago.
Zach hasn't sent me one of those. All he did was send me a jersey. He sent me a Gastineau jersey, and my daughter, he sent her a Revis shirt. So what is this, Zach? Why don't I get a Jet Lounge? I get nothing. Sack Exchange, as we know, is kind of the Santa Claus to some degree of Jets fans, and he has been doing this for a couple of years now. There was a time when people would DM me and say, what is this guy's deal? Something nefarious is going on here. I don't like that you're promoting it. I swear I've gotten those DMs, and I've gotten them more than once. And I said, no, man, he's on the level. He's just doing this. He's just doing this. That's all it is. He just does it. Now we see he's gotten a little bit more prominence. He's out there in a larger capacity, and he's doing the same thing. The Jet Lounge tailgate is $29.29 or 99 cents. $29.99, guys, and it's all you can eat. And like I was talking to him last night on the phone, he said, in typical Sack fashion, I can't charge anymore because I want people to have a good time. I don't want to push people away that maybe can't afford $80 or whatever it is. So he's a good guy. If you guys want a good tailgate to go to jetlounge.com. And you can get in on that. I think tickets officially went on sale today at 4 p.m. I think it was. So go ahead, get in on that. We're going to be with those guys. And thanks for checking in, Sack. It's always good to see you virtually. It's nice. It's nice. But I'm going to be with Sack. Jake, he's going to take me on a Brooklyn food tour. See, here's the interesting thing, Jake. I'm from up there. And I've eaten all over the city and all over the boroughs. And Sack doesn't believe that. He wants to take me on a Brooklyn food tour, like as if I'm from Oklahoma. So I'm letting him do it.
They had some incredible food at the Jet Lounge tailgate. My friends who I was with, they're still talking about the mozz that was supplied from. I wish I remember the name of the place. It was someplace in the Bronx on Arthur Avenue that they brought. They brought all this great food. They had sausage and peppers. I mean, the Jet Lounge crew, they know how to have a good time. So I recommend any Jet fan going to week one to definitely check out their tailgate.
Yeah, the mozz. I mean, at this tailgate, guys, there's a rumor that there's going to be a guy making fresh mozzarella at the Jet Lounge tailgate. Yeah, making it. So it didn't exist. Then it's made, and you get it like that. It's like eating sushi you catch fish and just eat sushi. It's like that. It's that fresh. So, but thanks, Zach, and I'm glad you're here, buddy. We got to talk some more about some things, but I don't know if you know, Jake, on the day before the tailgate and the opening day game, September 10th, we're all meeting at the Coney Island Cyclone for the tallest and fastest Jets chant part 2. We're going to get all Jets fans on the very, very legendary Coney Island Cyclone, and we're going to do the Jets chant as we crest the top of the first hill.
Wow.
Yeah,
man, they got to win week one. There is so much going on for this fan base. The Jets need to come out and they need to win week one and give this fan base something. I mean, we deserve it. My goodness.
I agree. And look at all the energy we're putting in. We got guys flying in. Jake, I'm going to tell you this too. I didn't know if you know this, but we started the Wayward Jets Fan Fund. We're trying to get Jets fans who live elsewhere, that you would apply for this, who've never been to a Jets home game, but from live Oklahoma, Albuquerque, wherever. We have a fund that all you guys can donate to. The link is in the description. We're trying to get guys to the game. We're paying for airfare, travel expenses, and we're paying for the ticket. and we're getting guys there. We got a guy from Iowa there.
That's the
We're
one I donated to. I saw that link. I donated
Yeah.
to the fund for that guy.
Amazing. Good
Yep.
for you, Jake. But all you guys can donate as well. It's such a cool thing. There's just such a positive buzz. I really think, like Jake just said, we deserve a damn winner.
That's right.
I mean, look, we're good people. What happened? So we got a super chat from V-Man checking in. What's up, V-Man? Good to see you. Says top 5 New York Jets quarterback wide receiver duos based on longevity, stats, and success. Number 5, Pennington to Coles. Number 4, Testaverde to Crabette. O'Brien to Toon is number 3. Todd to Walker. That's Richard Todd to Wesley Walker is number 2. And Namath to Don Maynard. Hey, Watch UK, is this accurate? Look at this guy. Well, what do you think of that? I mean, Jake, do you have a favorite of this group?
I mean, Pennington to Coles is the one that I remember the most. Vinny to Crabette. Yeah, I mean, you want to go 90, but like, did Vinny had one magical year, right? It was the 98 year.
Yeah.
Like that was an elite quarterback year based on any metric. Other than that, like Chad was better than Vinny in totality as far as careers with the Jets go. I wasn't old enough to watch O'Brien the Toon or Todd the Walker. Certainly wasn't old enough to name it the Maynard. That's got to be number 1 though, of course. Man. I mean, honestly, could I argue that for 2015, Fitz the Brandon Marshall was as good as it gets as Jet fans? I mean, Brandon Marshall shattered every Jet receiving record pretty much.
Yeah.
That 1 year. I mean, what Mark Sanchez to Braylon Edwards or Santonio Holmes could be in that conversation if we're putting Vinny to Crabette on this list.
And what about Vinny to Keyshawn?
Yeah.
Keyshawn actually had more receptions and more touchdowns than Wayne Crabette. I mean, they were an amazing duo. And look, I wouldn't dare take anyone's love from Crabette, but you got to be, like Jake's saying, if we're going to be square here, Vinny to Keyshawn, Fitzpatrick to Brandon Marshall, they're up there too, man. So V-Man, I don't know if you're thinking with your heart here, or if there's just your favorite or something. I mean, we love all those guys. They're on the list. But I mean, Brandon Marshall's season was epic for us.
How about Geno Smith to Jeremy Curley? What a combo that.
What about them? What about them, V-Man? Why'd you leave out Jeremy Curley? And Brett Favre to Chancey Stuckey.
Oh,
what happened to that?
Dude, Favre loved Chancey Stuckey. That's a good.
He really did. That was his favorite receiver. Incredible. But thank you, V-Man. We do appreciate it. Watts UK is checking your work right now to see if this is your heart or if this is your head. I'm going to go to Drillo, the Jets fan. Jeremy, let me know if I skipped one. I'm not sure if Drillo is next, if you wouldn't mind. Drillo, the Jets fan, thank you for the super chat and checking in. Jake Asman's daily Jet content is as reliable as the following Jets forever. You're still on this, Drillo. This is 3 days old. And he's going on a week of this tirade. Jets forever's terrible take, and I'm fans of both. See, that's the thing, Jake. It started with Drillo was sincerely believing that Jets Forever is a troll. His whole purpose is to troll us. Now, you know Jets Forever better than anybody.
Do I know him? I mean, I love the guy or robot or gal.
Yeah, right. We don't know who it is. I know there was a little rumor that I am Jets Forever. So, and I went with it. Yeah, I went with it. Said, yeah, sure.
I actually have 2 Jets Forevers that watch my show. There's the Jet Forever that doesn't have a picture. That's the biggest Zach Wilson fan out there. And then there's an older gentleman, not old, but he's older than the Jet Forever account that spells it Jets with like the number 4 ever. So I got not 1 but 2 that chime in on the show every day.
Yeah, well, that's confusing. I don't like that when there's 2 of the same, and you got to like look at the avatar, and still, I don't know. That's confusing, guys. If you got to pick an original name, we're sorry. You got to do it. You got to figure it out. Add a 6, add a 12, something like that. But either way, Drillo, I'm happy to see that you are actually starting to warm to Jets Forever's takes. Yeah, look, sometimes he can be aggravating. He really can. Sometimes, but the other times he's actually right. And that's the weird thing that is Jets Forever. That's the weird hybrid entity that he is. And we don't know what he is. Or like you said, with all due respect, it doesn't matter one way or the other. That's my own comfort, just naturally coming out. But either way, Drillo, thank you for the super chat. It is appreciated. Thomas Cahill checking in. He says, I don't think Saleh instills that bloody killer instinct in the team. Now, this kind of dovetails with that other one, Jake, with what they were saying, on a scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you? But what do you think of this? I mean, Saleh has those comments, he said those things like, it's not my job to motivate men that get paid a king's ransom to play a kid's game or a child's game. Sincerely, as a Jets fan, I'm asking the Jets fan, Jake, right now, do you wonder, like, is Saleh the guy? Like, do you think that kind of the bravado is almost an illusion, all gas, no break, and we're not seeing it? Like, is there any concern there for you, really?
There's concern because we're talking about a Jet head coach who's year one, the team won 4 games. But I like Robert Saleh. I'm willing to obviously go into this year way more optimistic about the team that he's coaching. But look, how many games are they winning? That's what this comes down to, right? Like,
right.
No one cares that the Jets have a killer instinct and they win 5 games this year, right? Like, the only way you have a killer instinct is if you win more football games. That's what we're judging Robert Saleh on. So, like, all this stuff about bravado and killer instinct, I like the message that he's given to the team. Like, in the One Jet Strive stuff, like that speech he gave to the team about how they were outscored by 16.5 points and they haven't won a game in the AFC East in 2 years. And that flat out bleeping ends this year. Like, that was the right message. It's not, Rex Ryan saying we're going to go eat a goddamn snack, but like, they're different. But at the same time, the message was on point. But it's going to come down to winning games. Like, I like Robert Saleh, but if this team goes 5 what would it be? I guess it'd be 5-12 this year.
5-12. Oh my God.
No one's going to sit here and be like, well, you got to give him a third year because that's when it's all going to really come together. So he's got to win games. I think it's the same thing with Zach. I like Zach Wilson too, but if he stinks it up this year, we're not going to be sitting here and saying you got to give him a third year. Like, these guys got to go out there and they got to produce wins. That's what it comes down to.
I think that's a really great take. It's like, simplified. What it boils down to here is like, let's, all the hubbub is just that. It's air. If they win games, we'll believe in it. If they don't, no matter what they say, it's going to be hot garbage. Speaking of the coaches, Jake, Frankie is actually he's a very staunch Ulbricht defender. Now, a lot of Jets fans are, if they have concern about one of the 3, or let's even add Boyer and say the 4, if there's concern about one of the coaches, I think a lot of it heads Ulbricht's way. And I think for, fair enough, good reason. But Frankie, can you tell Jake, what is it that you love about Ulbricht? What is this? You defend him more than anybody else I know. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but what is it about Ulbricht that you think is so nifty?
I think this year he's under the microscope. Last year he had no players. He had nothing. We were in a year 1 of a down to the studs rebuild, and then we had the number 1 adjusted games lost of any defense in football. That includes the Ravens, for all the Ravens fans out there who want to tell me about their injuries all day long. We had the number 1 adjusted games lost of any team on defense, number 1 and number 7 for our whole team, and that's according to Warren Sharp. So he had nothing. So I don't know how I can judge a guy who had no players on the field whatsoever, outside of a few, like Quinnen and JFM and so forth. So now it's a different story. Okay. Knock on wood. We don't have major injuries. Now we have the players we were supposed to have, the kinds of players we were supposed to have. And so now if we come out and look like we did last year, then I will be criticizing Ulbricht very strongly. So I'm just saying, let the guy have some players and then we can judge him. That's my basic idea.
Frankie, I think you're right. Like that's kind of been my take on it. And also everyone killing Ulbricht, the head coach is a defensive minded coach. Like, if Robert Saleh needs to be more hands-on with the defense this year, he should. Robert Saleh is not guaranteed a year 3 if this defense is god awful and he could just blame it on his defensive coordinator. I always point this out to people. The last 4 coaches in New York have not made it to a 3rd year. All right, whether it's Ben McAdoo or Pat Shermer, or Joe Judge or Adam Gase, the last 4 total coaches in New York have not made it to a 3rd season. So this team's got to win games. Like, we could criticize Saleh and Ulbricht for this past year. They didn't have the talent. I think you look at this roster now, you can't say there's a lack of talent on this team. Maybe they're not a contender, but they should be an improved team. And if the defense stinks, then yeah, you could criticize Ulbricht. But I'm with you, Frankie. He had nothing last year. The Jets led the NFL with players on injured reserve from a salary cap perspective as well, whatever the number was. So, look, hopefully with Lawson back and signing Reed and Whitehead and drafting Sauce and drafting Jermaine Johnson and Clemons, this defense takes a big step signing Quan. They should. There's no excuse if they don't.
Yeah. Well, I think that's right. There's no excuse if you don't. I mean, if the defense looks the same, like you guys have pointed out, we added a major influx into the defensive line. We added a major influx of talent to the defensive backs, Whitehead, Reed, Sauce. So it should look different. I'm a believer that they're just letting the NFL think that it's the same defense from last year. We're going to give 10-yard cushions, and then week one, it's going to be magic. That's what I think, Jake. I think we're going to see magic. Joe Flacco, the gods have spoken. I'm convinced. This one's directly for you, and I'm sorry for skipping you, JB Jets. Jeremy caught me, which I appreciate. Our producer, Jeremy from Jets Chaos, right there, making sure I don't slip anything up. JB Jets says, Jake, do you go out anywhere to watch Jets games in Houston? I know some Jets fans used to gather at Christian's Tailgate downtown, heading up to MetLife for week one. But if you know anywhere in H-Town, so what do you think? Do you have any spots maybe you can let JB Jets know about?
Yeah, absolutely. So check out HoustonJetsfans.com. There's a website. So the old location was Christian's Tailgate downtown. That's where so I lived in Houston now for 4 years. That's where the first 3 years I watched Jet games. They changed the location up last year, and I'm drawing a blank on where it is. But there's a crapload amount of Jet fans that live down here in Houston, a lot of transplant New Yorkers. So check out the website, HoustonJetsfans.com. There's also a Facebook group, JB. So be on the lookout for that. And I'm sure as we get closer to the year, if they haven't picked a place yet, maybe they have, I'm just unaware. All the info will be posted there. But there are Jet fans that watch every game religiously here in Houston at one of the sports bars. So definitely look into that, and I'm sure I'll see you there.
Yeah, amazing. And look, if you guys are ever in Virginia, we have the president of Virginia's very own Virginia Jets fan club, Y2K, New York Sports Wicker Media himself, and he is standing by right now for the trivia of the night. Jake, can you hang out a few more minutes and get to some trivia? I want to get to the super chats. You're good?
Let's do it.
Awesome. All right. Well, V-Man checking back in. He wants to clarify something about his wide receiver tandem message. He says, I said a 3-year minimum. Now, I don't even remember if he put that in there or not, but that does change some things.
He's telling us after the fact. He said a 3-year minimum.
Maybe we can't add Geno Smith to Jeremy Curley. We got to remove those guys now.
We can't.
Marshall's out.
Yeah, no Josh McCown to Robbie Anderson. We can't put that in there now.
We can't put McCown. That was devastating. That combo that lit the league on fire.
The 2017 Jets started 3-2. People forget that they had a winning record after 5 games. We have not seen it since.
Amazing. See, and that's when we were like, wow, this Todd Bowles-McCagnon thing. It's going to work after all.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what we were thinking. Well, thank you, V-Man. No matter how you slice it, buddy, in truth, those were great tandems. I mean, they excited Jets fans, all throughout those eras. It was amazing. So I loved all those guys. The only one I didn't get to watch was Joe Namath to Don Maynard. I've been around long enough. I watched Todd to Wesley Walker. I watched Kenny O to Al Toon. I watched that stuff. So I'm with you, buddy. And I'm glad that you bring it up. We don't bring those guys up enough. Like we're talking about Klecko right now, and rightfully so. But I really would love to see more Kyle Clifton, more Mo Lewis, more Kenny O. Just some love. That's all. No big deal. We don't got to cry for the Hall of Fame, but just a little bit of love for those guys. They're just forgotten. And they worked hard for us. They did. Bruce Davis checking in. He says, forget that nonsense from people who are not real Jets fans. We won't be losing any games. Like Herm said, you play to win the game. Hello, Jake, are we going 17-0 this year, you think?
Man, I've had the dream before, GreenBean. I've had the dream. I would take 9-8 right now. If you tell me they got a winning season, I think they're going 7-10. That's my prediction as of right now. But like 9-8, man, a winning season. We haven't seen that since 2015. The bar is so low. This fan base deserves so much better than what we have been given. That it's just this fan. You have no I saw you live in Houston covering the Texans, right? The fan base for the Jets, the passion for the Jets compared to the Texans, and they've been a playoff team. They haven't been good in the past couple of years, but they've been a consistent playoff team. They had a franchise quarterback for a while with Deshaun, and it's the disparity and just the passion from the fan base it's remarkable, man. The Jets have been so bad for so long, and this fan base cares so much. It's like just win games, and this team will get the support they rightfully deserve. This fan base is ready. Just give us something to cheer about.
We really are unique in that, we are like 10 levels more like passionate, into it, out there, speaking on it than most other fan bases, especially the losing fan bases. You go to their message boards and it's just a few posts, 3, 5, 10, 20 a day. You go to Jetnation, they get 1 million posts a month, 1 million. And that's completely independent from Jets Twitter and everywhere else. I'm telling you, we really do deserve it. And it's coming. It's coming, guys. And thank you for that capitalization of real Jets fans. I count myself among them, sir. So that is good. That feels good. I want to point something out, though. Jake, you might not know, my Aunt Gina pops in these shows. She is the reason that I'm a Jets fan. I tell a story. I've told it on your show in the past about going to watch the Mud Bowl in a bar when I was 10 years old. I was with that woman right there. But I want to point out, why are you hitting on Jeremy? I don't understand what this is, Gene. She's telling Jeremy we got to meet. That's DM stuff. And Jeremy's married, Gina. You got to calm it down. You got to do that stuff on the sneak. And Gina, you can't, right, on the down low, as they say. The kids say down low today. So we're going to go ahead and bring on Virginia Jets fan Club, their president himself. He looks ready to me. I'm bringing you on. Let's say hello to Y2K for some Jets trivia. What's up, Y2K? How you doing tonight?
The president.
Yeah, but unlike other presidents, Y2K does not have any Secret Service members following him around. Is that right, Y2K?
People try to avoid me the best they can anyway. And let us not forget the infamous Browning-Nagel to Chris Burkett connection of 1992. We can't forget.
I've already forgotten Y2K, the king of obscure things. Y2K.
That's just because I have time to look stuff up, Frankie.
That was a good pull, as we say.
Why
Y2K.
were you looking that up? I would have to ask. Why? You're torturing yourself.
Yeah. Well,
being a Jets fan is torture. I think we already know this.
Yeah. So, Y2K, we love having you here, and you don't need Secret Service because, technically speaking, I'm following you around. I don't let you know this, but I'm always around you, my friend, and I'll get them.
Very creepy, GreenBean.
No, it's love. Oh wait, it could.
That's what all the creeps say.
That's what all the creeps say. But I love her. That's what they're saying. So Y2K, we are now. Do you have the record? I think we're 2-1 for this season.
We gave you a little bit of flack. So 3-0 for the season. So
3-0.
Just like the Jets are going to be this season, 3-0, right?
Yeah, baby.
Maybe we'll make that correlation. However, we sincerely and legitimately do without Google in the trivia. That is how that will translate to our actual Jets record. I'm in. I like this. I like this.
Good. And and this is Jake's second time doing trivia with us.
That's right.
It's pretty cool.
It's an honor. They say once you get to do trivia a second time on the Thursday thick of it, you've made it in life. So
there you go.
We had Mike Westhoff one time, so if we could get him a second time, he'll have caught up with you. So Mike Westhoff is working his way up to you. I just want you to know that.
Well, Jake's first. I
love nothing but love.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that is wonderful to say. We appreciate that, Jake Asman. I am touched, sincerely. So, Y2K, why don't we get right to it? What do you got for us tonight? And guys, remember in the chat, no Google. We want to see if we can do this. Let's see what we got. Let's see if we can beat Y2K.
Okay, so we're going to go a little different direction. We're going to talk about Joe Klecko. I want to do a Joe Klecko related trivia question tonight.
Great.
So Joe Klecko is on pace now to become the third Hall of Famer who entered the NFL for the 1977 season. Name the other two Hall of Famers I'm going to give you a hint. Name the other two Hall of Famers whose playing careers began in 1977. I'm going to give you one hint. They've got the same first name, both these guys.
All right. This is tough because now we're not talking about Jets Hall of Famers. We're talking about Hall of Famers.
Howie Long and Howie Schlong.
Yeah. Let's see. Jake, so 1977. This is going to be tough.
So is it the same name? Like their names are Joe, you're saying? They're the same names?
Right.
As like Joe Klecko, right?
Yep. Not necessarily Joe Clark. Not their name. His name
First
isn't
name.
necessarily Joe, but both guys have the same first name.
Okay, so they could be a different name than Joe. That's what I was wondering.
Oh, they have.
I'll
the
give you another
sky.
hint. I'm going to give you another hint because we're not
Yeah.
looking for Jets names here. Same first name and the same initials.
Okay. 1977, Frankie. Now, guys in the chat, throw out some answers. We got Joe Montana.
Joe Montana is incorrect. One of these guys was drafted in the top 5 of that draft class. I will tell you that.
Top 5 of 1977 is going to be. This is, I think, Watu. I feel it, Jake. I feel it. I don't think we're going to.
Giving you a little bit. Giving you a
trying.
little bit of leeway because I know it's a little bit more challenging. So.
Seeds has got a good comment I'm seeing here. I don't know. I'm trying to think of when those players were drafted, though, if the timeline would match up.
Oh, okay.
Chris, no, Jesus Christ was not drafted in 1977.
No, he was 86.
How do you know?
Right.
He was drafted
We
in
got
the-
Seeds. Seed says Ken Stabler and Ken Anderson.
No,
Good guess.
Kenny Stabler was. Yeah, he'd been in the league for a little bit with the
Yeah,
Raiders at that point. Yeah.
Come on, Seeds. Of course.
It's a
We've
good
been
one.
in the league already. What is this, Seeds? Let's see. I don't see any.
We
good
have
ones.
one correct answer in the chat. So
Phil
this
Simms.
is gettable. It is not Phil Simms.
Joe Kelly.
It is not Joe Kelly.
Tony Dorsett.
Tony Dorsett is correct.
Ooh,
Drafted number
still
2 in 1977.
All right, we need
So-
another Tony then.
Yeah, so
One
we need
more.
another Tony, Jake.
That's all the clue. Yep. So you know a couple
All right.
things. You know his name is Tony.
1977. We know his name is Tony, and his last name starts with D. We got that too.
So
Can
yeah, we gave you a little.
okay? Can I buy a vowel?
Yeah. Yes. You can buy
Tony
one.
Dungy.
It is Tony Dungy, who was in the Hall of Fame as a coach, but he was an
Uh-oh.
undrafted free agent in 1977 from Minnesota. 4 years
That's a
as a
miracle.
player before he
I
became a
swear
coach.
I didn't see Nicholas Cusinelli.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was.
So I
all
had to give
Frankie.
you a little bit to do.
No,
Yeah,
watch
we had
UK.
to-
I'm going to commend you. I want to tell you that was very well handled. It was a difficult question.
You're commending Watu. I got it
I
right.
am. But look what he did us. I'll commend you in a second. But he gave us the initial. He did it. He gave us just enough hints to make us have a shot. Because without them, would have been like, what
Well,
are you
that's
talking
true.
about? We don't.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
true. Yeah, I give you that. That's good. That's good work, Watu.
So we have Tony Dungy and Tony Dorsett.
The only 2 Hall of Famers that who notice I didn't say were drafted. That was the key. I didn't say they were drafted. One was drafted number 2, and one was not drafted at all. And Dungy went on to
Very
win a
good.
Super Bowl as a player and as a coach.
So the fact that Frankie got it right before Nicholas Cusinelli, about 1 second before Nick, we're going to say we got that one. I think we won. I think we are now 4-0. Watu, do you have any argument for my claim that we did it?
I think this is more like a 3-0-1 season record at this
tie?
point. I don't know.
Wait a minute. The first one came in from Jeremy. That counts on our behalf.
All right.
It does.
And then
All right.
I got the second one. We definitely nailed that one.
I think we did. We are
Jake-
4-0. Yeah,
Jake, I-
congratulations, everybody.
Jake, I know you'll be impartial. Should we give them the Duke on this one?
You got to give them the W.
All right. Okay, that's
Yeah.
You got it.
4-0. There we go. Just like the Jets will be after running through the AFC North this season. There you go.
Yeah, well, I think very well done. I enjoyed that. That was challenging. I felt I was like interested and engaged. I had no real answer, but I don't know. It felt good, Watu. That was a good one. I like it. Watu does fantastic trivia. Let's all thank him in the chat. Put up little fireballs for Watu. There you go. Everybody with the little fireballs, or do that thing Larry Romano did, that little thing right there. Boom. Do something for Watu. So, guys, we're here with Jake Asman. Jake, I see some more super chats coming in, but I'm going to give you the outdoor. We said you'd come for an hour. You're welcome to hang for as long as sometimes this can be another hour or whatever. But I'm going to give you the opportunity to leave and end it with a nice kind of round hour. What do you think, Jake?
I got another 10 minutes left in me,
Okay.
GB. We got super
Sweet.
chats still. We can't leave before we get some super chats answered. They
You know what?
cut the line. You know the rules.
I love it. And Jake Asman, he's gonna hang out with us another 10 minutes to honor the super chat rule. Look at all the fireballs coming in for you, Watu. They're all over the place. Look at this. Jets 830 even got one. Stud City a little bit different there. We got all kinds of stuff. And Hennessy Heisman is bored. So, okay. Thank you, Jake. So we're going to get right to King Blaze here. He said, he comes in with a super chat. Thank you. He says, my favorite moment was the 56-yard touchdown Chad to Anderson versus the Colts in the 2003 playoffs, only because I would never have thought that could happen. What's yours most memorable? Wow, that's a good question. So, interestingly enough, we just watched that game last month in the Beanbaggers monthly classic game watch party. That was the game we watched. It was a damn joy to watch. Jake, what's your favorite Jets moment? King Blaze says that 56-yard touchdown. What do you got?
Man, that play's special. It's also the last time they had a home playoff game that day. The win over the Colts. You know that they've not had a home playoff game since that season. I guess for me, it's got to be. I mean, a moment. It's definitely something from the win over the Patriots in the playoffs in 2010. I'm trying to think of what specific play. Maybe the Sean Green run at the end to kind of seal the deal, knowing they were going to win that game. That's high on the list. I mean, the Sanchez to Santonio Holmes throw in the corner of the end zone. Those are the two like moments from that game that stand out the most. It's got to be that's the greatest game I've ever seen as a fan. So pick a moment from that game. That'd be my favorite memory as a Jet fan. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it really, I'm finding it difficult right now to find the play. Like I have my moment, I have my game, but the play, this is difficult. Y2K, what's your favorite Jets moment? Can you recall one?
If I have to isolate one play, I'm actually going to go. And by the way, if we're going with the Jets-Patriots game, you can't forget the David Harris interception off of Brady.
I was going to say that.
What a beautiful moment
People forget, though, Y2K. They didn't score points on that. Nick Folk missed the field goal after that.
That's right.
Think about that.
What was the guy's name?
What was the big fat tight end that caught him?
Algie Crumpler.
Algie Crumpler. They might Crumpler up. Like if you watch the NFL clips, they might have all people Algie Crumpler. I have no idea.
And then, we got no points. All that effectively did was stop their momentum and stop the drive. So it was still very beneficial, but you'd think we could have got points if David Harris ran a couple wind sprints before it. Maybe we would have gotten the end zone there. But so is that your play, Y2K? That's a fantastic one.
I'd say my play would be the Sean Green touchdown when he blew right through the Chargers defense past Antonio Cromartie. It was at that point when I started to feel really confident. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to see the Jets in the AFC Championship game. It's like I'm about to drive from Chicago, the west side of Chicago, to Indianapolis for the freaking AFC Championship game. I never thought I would be able to do that in my lifetime. And,
amazing.
What a victory that was.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I'm going to predict Frankie's. Frankie's is Quinnen Williams' sack last year on 4th and 1 in the losing effort against some team.
I've never paid as much close attention to a Jet season as I did last year. You know what I mean? Because I was charting every game and doing all this stuff. So yeah, my favorite moments are probably from last year, like Brandon Eccles picking off Tua and taking a pick 6. But I remember all those other games too, but they all get jumbled in my mind. You know what I mean? Like,
what a year last year was, Frankie. I mean, we'll be talking about the 4-13 2021 Jets for as long as they're playing football.
I mean, imagine if I was following a team that closely who actually won something. I'd have all kinds of joy coming off of me.
All right. Well, I'm going to say mine. I'm going to dig a little deep.
Of course you will, because you're the official Jets historian, GreenBean.
Yeah. Well, as far as history, I mean, to a lot of Jets fans, this is probably ancient history. To me, it feels like new Jets. It's just like even newer. It was in the 90s. But the Midnight Miracle, we were getting shellacked all over the place. Yeah. And then we had this little mini drive, and Vinny Testaverde threw a snowball's chance in hell to Wayne Krebet, who was covered and caught it in the end zone. That was it. We lost our damn minds. And later we saw some Cole stuff, but that particular catch, I can see the back page of the New York Post and the Daily News in New York. They had the same exact, it was Wayne Krebet's, you know how he had this wide open hands. He did this thing. He had wide open hands, and it was perfect. It went right in the breadbasket. And that, in my opinion, was, I mean, at least what I can think of now, it's definitely in my top 5. That's the play for me. I think that was fun, King Blaze. Fantastic. Thank you. That was a good one. Good moments. We've had them, man. They're out there. They're, some really good moments, exciting stuff. Yoitzvin or I hear, yo, it's Vin, but I like yoits. Yoits, Vin. Green Bean, I watched the vids when you were in the Hall of Fame. You and Harry.
Oh, you were the one.
Yeah, exactly.
7
well,
views.
Yeah, well, thank you, man. I'm going to repost it. I'm going to. Now that it's kind of Hall of Fame energy around there, I'm going to post it. I'll put it out this week. You know, I keep making Klecko videos, Jake. Nobody cares. I mean, my last video got just over 1,000. I put weeks into it, Jake. I put weeks. And then this one, I admittedly did not put as much time, but I think I'm sitting at 850 on day 3.
Yeah, these youngsters don't know what's up. These youngsters ruin everything. You people have no idea what this man was all about. He was a monster.
Yeah.
YouTube's tricky with that stuff. Like it's so funny. There are times where it's like I feel like I have a pretty good topic I want to hit on, and it's like nobody cares. And then it's like, well, you just talk about Zach Wilson, and that's going to get more views naturally. So it's tricky because like you want to dig deeper if you're doing like a daily Jets themed channel, but a lot of times the views don't make it worth going the extra mile for whatever reason. So I've been there.
It really, and no, that's well said. It really is true. Frankie and I talk about it all the time. It's like, it seems like the more energy I put into a video, the less likely it is to get seen. And it's like, it makes me not want to do that anymore. I'm just going to make little 3-minute clippers, send them out, see how they do. We got some people talking about their favorite moments, and Kenny O'Brien to Wesley Walker for the 51-45 win. That was Frankie. Were you around? You were around for that, right, buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my team. O'Brien to Walker. That was my jam.
Yeah. That was a good one. Hawk saying my favorite moment of all time is Bart Scott can't wait. Dude, that's way up there. That was way the moment in time that was beating New England in their home to get to the AFC Championship game, flying high. We had this dominant team. We were covered. All positions were like, way up there, elite in some instances. And just Bart Scott being pissed off, saying what we all felt about the season. Screw you, everybody. Can't wait. I think that was good. That was a good one, man. Make that AFC conference game from 1189 Paris. Sean Green sealing the win versus the pay. Oh, that was a good one too when he did the little sleepy sleep.
That was mine.
There
That's
it is,
right.
Jake.
And Bob was choosing the Jets are going to win it in style here in New England.
That's right.
That's good. Right. Michael LaMountain says mine was the screen pass to Richie Anderson against the Colts in the playoff win. Dude, people forget about Richie Anderson and almost entirely. Richie Anderson and Gerald Sowell, we had these two fullbacks that we used in the passing game to amazing effect. I mean, and they're forgotten. They were like our number one weapon. Richie Anderson went to the Pro Bowl as a pass catching fullback. Truly amazing. Let's see if we got a couple more, and we will wrap this one up. Paris says best game watched on television: Richard Todd to Jerome Barkham that defeated Miami Dolphins at Chase Stadium back in '81. O'Brien to Walker was a good one.
I was wedding night too.
Yeah,
Good
Sanchez's
timing.
bomb touchdown win against the Tex. So that was, you mean the one? Wasn't that Santonio Holmes? I think that was Santonio Holmes juking
The bomb was to the bomb was to Braylon to take him down to about the 10-yard line. It was like 50, 60 yards, and then he got Holmes in the corner of the end zone. So Braylon got out of bounds, which is the only reason they had a chance because they're out of timeouts. And then little corner fade in the end zone, and the people who were still in that stadium because it was half filled out. My gosh, it sounded like a full state. It sounded like Lumen Field in Seattle. So
that team had so many fun, like crazy endings, man. Like whether it's like Santonio Holmes against the Browns took this quick slant all the way to beat Mangini that year, or I guess Holmes
the Detroit game.
Yep,
Detroit also.
Exactly, huge play against the Lions, and then Nick Folk hit a game-winning kick. I think it was the Texans ending that the last commenter mentioned. I mean. They were the cardiac Jets in 2010, but they won. They were like they won 11 games that year. They should have won even more if they didn't blow it against 45-3 against New England. And then the following week, people always forget they blew a terrible game. They lost a horrible game to Miami the week after the 45-3 debacle, and then had to go on the road in Pittsburgh. And Brad Smith took the opening kickoff to the house. Sanchez had the end around, and the Jets won that game. And that's what gave us confidence that after they beat Brady and Belichick in the divisional round, they were going to go back to Pittsburgh and win and go to the Super Bowl.
Oh, amazing.
And that opening kick with Smith in Pittsburgh, is that the one where he lost his shoe?
That was Thanksgiving night against the Bengals that season.
That was the Bengals. Okay.
Yep.
So it was
Amazing.
The Bengals.
Look
all
at
those
the
touchdown
recall.
returns. All those
This
touchdown
is,
returns.
I'm
You
impressed
can't keep
by
them all straight.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by the recall, though. Such clarity, Jake. I'm truly impressed.
I don't have a lot as a fan of this team, GB. Like you've been around a little longer. You've seen some of the better seasons in the 80s or some of those 90s teams. Like I can remember 98 a little bit, but I can't sit here and be like I knew what was going on. But from I'd say 01 to like where we are now, like those are my Jet teams that I've grown up with. So like I could basically recite everything that happened, especially during the Rex years when they were good in 09 and 10.
Right. It's like it's maybe not as long of a length of time, but what there is, you remember it all.
I lived it. I got the scars on my body, as my friend
Beningo would say.
Yeah. Right.
All the love, bro.
Yeah. Chris Bradigan checking in. He's actually next up, everybody, for our Wayward Jets fan fund. He's in Chicago. Jets fan, never been to a home game. Help us get Chris Bradigan to his first game by donating, clicking the link in the description of this very video, and we would be greatly appreciated. He says the game-winning field goal against Miami in 91 to send us to Houston. I was at my buddy's wedding, and the game was on, and the father of the groom, who was a raging alcoholic, who I hung out with because I was a raging alcoholic, we got into an argument with the mother of the bride. They wanted to do the cake cutting, and the father didn't want to leave the game, and I was with the fathers. It was a whole big hubbub. We watched Raul Allegre kick the winning field goal, and then we were like, okay, we can have a wedding now, and it was over. So big fight. My friend was not happy with me, but I was okay because that play. Right there. All was
absolutely.
Well.
What's somebody doing? What is somebody doing scheduling a wedding on a day the Jets have a game, let alone the last game of the season?
I know. Sunday afternoon during football season, you must be kidding me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Truly. Especially the last week of the season. There's so much is on the line.
I've left the wedding early before. The Yankees were playing the Astros in the 2019 ALCS, and I legitimately left the wedding early to go back to the hotel where I was at to watch game one. Like you can't do a fall wedding when you have football, you have playoff baseball. Like you got to do a wedding in the spring or the summer. Otherwise there's a good chance I might not make it.
Right. You got to, or factor it in. Like, you know what I did? I did my wedding the day after Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? In November.
Perfect.
Like Thanksgiving Day games are over. There's nothing going on. It's not Sunday. It's like, we're safe.
That's amazing.
You know what I mean? Everybody's off. You know what I mean? Already nobody has to take off or whatever. I covered it all. Covered it all for you guys. All right, we got a couple more super chats, and then we're wrapping this one up. Boogie Down Bronx says, if the Jets win 9 games, Joe Douglas will be GM of the year. He has put some good talent on this team the past 2 years. We are young and we'll be good. And that dovetails with the idea, like, he bought the groceries. Now it's time for Salah to make the dinner. Jake, do you agree with this? You think we win 9 games, Joe Douglas is all but ensured that he'll get an extension and he's here for another 10 years?
If they win 9 games, I could see him getting an extension. You got to remember, he signed a 6-year deal, right? So there's no onus to like, we got to get him signed right now or we're going to lose him. Like, they'll take care of him if the team wins. If they win 9 games, that'd be 9-8. They'd have a winning record. I don't know if he's guaranteed to win general manager of the year, but he'll get votes for it. There's no doubt. I mean, the Jets go from a 4-win team to 9 wins. Yeah. I mean, I think we'd be doing cartwheels as Jet fans if they had a winning season this year.
Amazing. Frankie, you with Jake?
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd sign up for 9 wins right now.
Yeah, hell yeah. Like, if they said that, it's going to be crazy, tumultuous, but you'll get 9, done. I'm fine.
Done.
I'm
fine. Right. Beth Page Chris, thank you for the super chat. He says, thanks for all your amazing content, boys. You guys are all legends and are awesome. Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, Jake is awesome in my opinion. One of the best, if not the best in my opinion. Frankie, he's all right. And Y2K is the president of the Virginia Jets fan club and the CEO of New York Sports, Wicker Media. And I love these guys too. So thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. One more that just came in. Stanley Spector, thank you for the super chat. He says, first game at Shea, 1966. Namath threw 5 touchdowns and Boozer ran through the Houston team. Namath to Sauer was great. I honestly wish I saw it. I mean, I really do. But thank you for putting that in there. And either one of you guys ever gone back and like watched those regular season games of Namath? Have you done that at all, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because there's not as much as you'd like to see available. You could find highlights, but it's tough to find full games. You could go back though. You could watch Super Bowl III. I think that's on YouTube. I'd watch the 68, AFL championship game against the Raiders. So
Yeah, me too.
there's stuff out there, and I've watched some stuff like my dad or whatnot who grew up like a Namath fan, which is why I'm a Jet fan to this day. But I just wish some of that stuff was more like readily available. It's tough to find like the old like actual game footage. You can see highlights, but it's tough to find like full game broadcasts.
Yeah. And he's right. I've actually watched it on YouTube, the AFL championship game, to get us to that Super Bowl. It's fun, man. It's a good watch. And yeah, you can find that stuff. But thank you, Stanley. You're not alone out there. That's people still say there's no quarterback that we've ever had since Joe Namath. I mean, I didn't watch him, so I gotta, but 4,000 yards in a 14-game season, I think it was. So we got to have some of that. We got to get 235 yards a game this year. For God's sakes, get us to 4,000 in a 17-game season. But guys, I want to thank you all for being here. Jake Asman, 97.5, Houston's ESPN radio. Jake, you have anything going on that you want to let us know about?
No, you guys know I post Jet stuff on YouTube pretty much every day. So if you can ignore some of the Houston stuff, if you're not a Houston fan, you'll get daily Jets videos there. So definitely check it out. I'm looking forward to the season. I really feel like this team has all the makings of a team that could, dare I say, not have their season be over by Columbus Day. So I'm hopeful. I really am.
I know, it's like you think, dare I say, you're almost waiting to hear playoffs. No, just not over by Columbus Day.
That's
right.
What
we want.
Yeah.
The bar
a September victory, and one divisional victory. Right there, that's progress.
Man,
it's the truth.
We're not asking too much. Please. Whatever I already believe. I already believe in the plan, Joe Flacco. It's all part of the design, Joe Klecko. It's all coming to a culmination. Klecko, Revis in the hall, Joe Flacco revenge game, Zach Wilson rookie of the year. It's all coming. 7 games. It's all we need. It's all we need. 7, 8 games and all that. I'll take it. Watch UK. What do you got going on? What's coming up?
I just changed a couple of things with my channel. Decided to change a few things up with the background. I decided to start taking things seriously and taking it up to another level rather than just posting the videos and putting them out there. So want to put a little bit more time and effort into some of these things because I want to grow this. Little Huckleberry. Not that I'll ever get to your all's levels, but that's cool. I like doing what I'm doing, and I'm just thrilled to be here and. Happy to represent the Virginia Jets fans. So, hey, we got our fantasy league starting in a week and a half. So I'm now the commissioner of a fantasy league.
The commissioner, Frankie. 16
teams. It's gonna be a 16-team league. I'm looking to draft like Kyle Phillips in the 16th round. I mean, man, I got to go deep now. Dude, so this is going to be really fun.
I don't know
really
if I've ever
for the season start.
I'm sorry. I don't know if I've ever known anybody that's the president and the commissioner at the same time.
Baseball goes back and forth between them. Yeah, like what A. Bartlett Giamatti to Bud Selig, they kind of went back and forth for a little bit. Now it's tough.
Well, now we have you.
It's tough to hold 2 roles, but I certainly don't get paid enough for it. But that's all right.
No. Well, New York Sports Wicker Media. If you guys haven't yet, go over there and support our boy. Give him a little sub action. Follow him. Give him some likes and stuff. He could use it. And next we have Frankie from Flatbush. What's coming up, buddy?
Yep, Frankie from Flatbush Channel. Coffee with Frankie on Saturday. It's a good time to be live with Jet fans as we commiserate, take in the news. A lot of times when we're live on Saturdays, we get the news live in our Twitter feed, and I'm able to break the news to the Jet fans, whatever it may be. So that's always a good time.
There you go. And that is found at Frankie from Flatbush on YouTube. Just type in Frank, and he's going to come right up. He's the first name. Frankie from Flatbush.
Yeah. Frankie, I do have one question for you. So I've seen Coffee with Frankie. Right. But now we got Whiskey with Frankie. Is this
sometimes we have a nightly show called Whiskey with Frankie, and those I'm going to do those probably like as a pregame to the game. Like probably I'll do one Monday night before the game, but then I'll cut off during the game.
Y2K, what he's saying is he picked up drinking. That's what's going on. We'll keep our eye on it.
I found a way to make drinking, acceptable by saying it's going to be promoted on my channel and make me money. So
Frankie from Flatbush, brought to you by Elijah Craig and Jim Beam. Sounds great.
Right. There you go.
Move over, Manscaped.
That's right.
brought to you by
Frankie did not show up to his show tonight, sponsored by Jim Beam. That's the way it'll go. Well, Michael LaMountain, I apologize. Thank you for the super chat, but that's a big one. What I can tell you, buddy, is that there's a lot going, and we'll be with the Jet Lounge. You saw Sack Exchange in here today. We're going to be over with the Jet Lounge. The actual location is still being ironed out, but that's where we'll be. And there's going to be a whole mess of us, man. I hope you come. I hope you're able to be there with us, Michael. And thanks again for the super chat. Guys, that is the end of the show. Again, I want to thank Jake Asman. And as always, we want to thank Wat2K and Frankie and our producer in the back who didn't make it up here today, but he's always here. Jeremy from Jets Chaos. He's out there in Sacramento eating nachos. That's what he's doing. I know he is. I just know it. But thank you, Frankie and Aunt Gina and everybody else. You guys have a great night. We will see you next time.
Yeah, here we come, baby. Here we come. Here come the Jets, man.
I want to kiss you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah!
You want to run or you want to duck down? You want to duck, just go over and get onto the bench and stay there.
You play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets, Jets.